Konnichiwa, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Robbie with Believe in the Run.
And this is Megan with Believe in the Run.
And you're listening to The Drop Special Edition Japan Remix, or I guess it's not a remix, it's more like recap. But yeah, we're going to go take you to Japan with us and tell you why it was so awesome.
Yeah, get ready.
It was quite the journey.
Yeah, I think I'm going to, towards the end, we normally thank people, but I'm going to start off with a thank you to Asics for putting this together. It's a really tough thing to navigate this whole marathon. It's like so many hoops. You'll hear about them as we go through it, but Asics made it as easy as possible and really was a great host for the 2023 Tokyo Marathon.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that it actually happened. I feel like
I can't believe that we all as a team made it there and back without like anyone getting lost or stuck in transit somewhere.
Yeah. There's a couple hiccups. I mean, in the beginning I was freaking out.
Oh, the COVID. Yeah.
Because I have the 2 vaccinations, but not the booster. So to get into Japan, you have to have either that or just a negative COVID test.
Or literally any piece of paper that has 3 lines written on it.
Yeah. Which is, okay, this is kind of crazy because in the US, if you're foreign and you're coming in, you have to have a vaccination. So like Novak Djokovic still can't come in. But Japan's way more strict and you just need a negative test. You know what I mean? Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Like they're
maybe not that interesting.
But I mean, whatever. Geopolitical conversations aside. So I had to get
let's go back to 2019 and talk about COVID.
So I had to get a negative test and I got it from LabCorp, which is like a major place. And they never put on the document that it was a nasal swab test. So we're on the way to the airport and I'm trying to upload my document to customs or whatever, immigration. And they keep kicking it back and saying like, it does not say what type of test this is. And I'm like freaking out. Was I not freaking out?
Yeah, you were a little tense. Robbie was having a morning though. Like, okay, so let's start off from the beginning. So we roll up and we have to get to Dulles Airport from Baltimore, which is about an hour and a half drive without traffic. So we have Jonathan, our limousine driver, or it's not really a limousine. It was like a bus.
Yeah.
But
let's not get too classy.
It was a black bus though.
It was.
They roll up. We have our Ortlieb bags all packed. And yes, I'm going to say Ortlieb bags because they were nice enough to send us luggage for the trip.
Yeah.
Rob, anything you want to say about the Ortlieb bags before we go on?
I love them.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. They're waterproof bags. Anyway, load those up. We all have them pretty much packed to the gills, except for Brandon. I don't know how Brandon
packed like 3 shirts. And was like, good to go.
2 pairs of underwear.
I should have just combined packing with him.
Yeah. So we load those all up. We're getting on the bus. And yes, the tension with Robbie is palpable. You can just see the stress.
Yeah, because there was... So the whole thing of me uploading that test and being like, it's getting kicked back. And I'm just like, dude... So I'm calling LabCorp on the way to the airport and telling them I need like an email saying that it's a nasal swab. So I'm waiting forever. The email's not coming in. We get to the check-in counter and I gave them the paper that I had that said I had a negative result. And they're like looking it over and like discussing it. And literally as they're discussing it, I'm like refreshing my email and it comes in saying like, we can verify that this is a nasal swab test. Show them the email. We're good. I also had to pee so bad.
Also, Robbie spilled his coffee in the van. I mean, he was a mess.
Dude, it was not good.
Yeah. But when we got to the airport, we're getting checked in, and it's our first time flying Nippon Airways. Mm-hmm. And it was, I really liked it, and it took me back to like almost like my childhood days where the people on the plane taking care of the flight attendants.
Yeah.
Very professional, very buttoned up.
That's what I say. I never experienced that because I didn't fly when I was a kid or anything, or back in the 80s or 90s. So that's what I expected it to be, and it really was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that, but even the passengers were as
dressed
polite and dressed up as the staff. So
We're just so used to flying Southwest.
I know.
Or God forbid Spirit Airlines.
yeah, getting on an RV,
Yeah.
going down. But yeah, like we were fortunate enough. They hooked us up with business class, or not business. It was economy premium, or business. I forget what it's called.
It's like the in-between realm.
Yeah. So there's the really swanky
There's the first
seats.
class.
Then
and
there's the we're not going to smash you together like a peanut butter jelly sandwich in my son's lunchbox rows. Mm-hmm. There's this nice in between, and we got to go in those. And what did you? I mean, Meg, did you sleep the whole way over?
No, I'm just not great at sleeping in the middle of the day or on planes. So I think I got just like a random hour or two here and there. But the thing is, they would turn on the lights they wanted to feed you the whole plane ride, which I was like, why are they feeding us so much?
I thought I might have been in a weird horror movie where they're pumping me up for feasting later.
It was like, oh, you're done with that? Here's a snack.
And although the food wasn't what I'm used to, I really enjoyed everything. As a matter of fact, for breakfast on the way back, I had the fish.
That was really aggressive.
It was for breakfast. It said it explicitly.
Yeah, breakfast fish. But yeah, I mean, the food in general, I mean, we'll get to all the food, but I mean, we definitely tried new things.
Yeah, and so the flight was like 14 hours. It was a direct flight. Still don't know how that's possible. But
I know.
So add up all the time, because we had an hour and a half on the van on the way over.
Yep.
14 and a half in the air.
And then the customs in Japan was like an hour and a half wait.
And then it was about an hour drive to the hotel.
Hour and a half drive.
So
Yeah.
all in all, we spent almost
A million years.
Yeah.
One day.
Rip Van Winkle.
Literally a day and a half after we left is when we got there with the time zone changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got there and
First impression of Tokyo.
I feel like
When we first got and we're on the freeway and you could see everything.
yeah, I just didn't know. I feel like my mind was just so fried from the travel and everything else. I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
I was like, this is expansive.
And that was, yeah. I couldn't believe how huge it was.
Yeah, normally you look at a city and you see like skyscrapers here and then the sprawl.
Right.
This was like skyscrapers everywhere and just miles.
Yeah. I had no clue going into it. And it's weird because if you look at the population of Tokyo, the estimates are, I guess, depending how you measure the area, anywhere from 12 million to 26 million. I'm going to go with the 26.
I would too.
Yeah.
Like
Place is huge.
you could not bump into people. Like it was like, and the size of the places
Yeah.
were just so small and they're packed.
Yeah. So when we got there, we got into the hotel, kind of checked our bags, and then
We stayed at the Kyo Plaza.
which was basically where the start line for the marathon was.
It was, I would say, if we're giving tips,
Yeah.
you could stay at the Kyo Plaza.
Do it.
You want to stay at the Kyo Plaza.
100%.
Not because it's the greatest hotel in the world, but location-wise, it's right in the middle of Shinjuku, and it was easy to get to all the tourist stuff from there.
But it was a very nice hotel, though.
Yeah.
It's also, other than maybe Chicago, I can't think of a major where you can stay in a hotel until like the last minute, kind of last minute, and then walk into your corral.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's a perk right there.
Yeah.
That was a perk, and the breakfasts were a perk.
Oh, yeah. Breakfast was great.
Yeah, so it's right in the heart of Shinjuku. So as far as like traveling around and walking around, you had everything you needed. Believe it or not, one of my favorite stores there when we were there, just because we needed them so often, was the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
They're bigger there than they are here.
Wait, what were they called? It was like 7-Eleven something else.
In company.
No,
I
and
didn't
Holdings.
And Holdings.
7 and
Yeah,
Holdings, I think it was.
Yeah, 7 and Holdings.
They didn't have a Slurpee machine, though.
They didn't?
I don't think that I'd noticed,
That is weird.
which seems illegal.
Yeah, but it was like when you're in New York City, you have Dwayne Reed's everywhere or whatever. Mm-hmm. I felt like that was
What was the other one? Lawson's?
Lawson's, yeah.
But so we got in and immediately, Meg went to bed.
Yeah, I was done. I had 16 meals that day, so
Yeah.
I was good.
I tried the theory of staying up the whole flight just to crash, see if I could crash hard, which didn't really work.
Wait, our flight didn't have, for some reason, the internet was out. So we were all thinking we're going to be able to get all this work done. And then thought we were going to watch movies, 14 hours, no internet, no movies. And I didn't download anything on my phone because I was like,
Yeah, we basically had to read by candlelight. It was like traveling back to the Oregon Trail. And so we got there and we got some food.
But on the walk over was the coolest thing. So first off, it was super windy and super cold when we got there. Not super. I mean, it was like 30 degrees, but with the wind, it was really chilly. So I was like, Megan's going to be so happy. She did not come because I don't think she was up for it. Mm-hmm. But as we're walking down the street, all of a sudden I see like neon golf carts going down the middle of the street.
Right.
Apparently there's...
Or like go-karts.
Yeah, Mario Kart tours of Tokyo. Yeah. So you can get in a Mario Kart and drive in the street, like not on the side of the street.
You never told me this.
Oh, you didn't see them while we were there?
No.
Because we saw them a couple other times.
Oh, I missed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like like you'd see like 10 or 12 like go-karts going down, like, and I'm not talking on the side of the street or in the bike lane.
Oh, right in the middle.
Like in the middle. And like they're only about, like if you're sitting on the ground in a go-kart, your head's only about 3 feet. Like I don't.
It's like a normal, like a normal go-kart on like you go to at a track or whatever.
Yeah,
and on the road.
And I couldn't, like I was like, just danger-wise, you're in a city. Like how do people not get run over?
In an American city, it would never happen. I feel like maybe they're a little more respectful in Tokyo, so it was like kind of doable.
Yeah, but it was the coolest thing. Like neon lights are driving down. Obviously, it's nighttime when we get there. Neon lights everywhere. But one of the first things we realize is that even if no cars are coming,
you can't jaywalk.
That was the most painful thing ever.
That was definitely the hardest part about being there.
That was it.
Culturally, it was weird because Japan was a polite society. Mm-hmm. And we think this is the start of why their city was beautiful, clean, organized. The people walked up to the light. If the light was red, didn't matter if there wasn't a car on the road. Either direction, no cars, doesn't matter. Stood there with their hands crossed.
They would, at some intersections, I saw them lining up down the sidewalk to cross the crosswalk, like not congregating at the crosswalk.
Yeah. Did Mac tell you not to cross, or did you look around and you're like, oh, we can't go?
He was like, people don't cross unless it's because we were at a small street.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, the people don't cross here unless.
It was painful.
Because the next morning I was like, oh, I was about to walk, and you told me, you were like, no.
Yeah.
They don't do that here.
Yeah. And I want to bring where we went to dinner.
Oh, we have to, yeah.
Why don't you describe for the people?
So we went to a ramen shop, I guess, and
was it Ichiran? The name of it?
Ichiran. Yeah.
But is that the name, or is that the style of restaurant?
That's the name of the chain. It's a chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want one of those in the U.S.
Apparently, there's one in New York City. So might have to hit that up when we're there next time.
Oh.
I say we put one in next door to the
There should be one everywhere.
Can you imagine if we had that right here?
Yeah, I'd be full of broth
You know what I also realized?
every day.
For me, I don't like looking at people sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the perfect dining out experience.
People are the worst to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, this place is an introvert's dream. So you go... Meg is.
You have to leave the house, so it's not completely.
No, I really hated this concept at first until I experienced it, and then now I'm into it.
All right, so you go in and there's like a vending machine right inside the door, and it has pictures which are helpful, and you select which item of ramen or toppings you want, and then you pay for it, and it spits out a ticket. Then you wait in a line until a
seat is available.
But the room itself it's just a small space, maybe 15 seats or so.
Well, what it is it looked like the kitchen is in the middle, but you don't see the kitchen.
Right.
And there's like tables on each side of the kitchen. So there's probably like 15 on this side, 15 on that side. So they can seat like 30 people, I think.
Yeah, but it's individual booths, basically, like a 2x2 foot square in front of you with wall dividers in between. Which some places they can remove the dividers if you're with the group, but then you're sitting beside each other. You're not like at a table. And then you put your ticket in the window, which is like a half window that's open, and you see a pair of hands come.
Take your ticket.
Take your ticket. 5 minutes later, a piping hot bowl of ramen arrives in front of you. Hands place the bowl in front of you. Bamboo shade closes. You have a little water tap for your water. and it's a delightful experience.
It really is. And if you think about it efficient wise, you get in there, someone hands you your soup, you eat your soup, you get up and you go.
Yeah.
So the turnover is pretty quick. But what I didn't, the first time we went, I didn't appreciate the charm of it as much as I did the second time.
I think we were just overwhelmed with everything,
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, what is happening right now? But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So we get back from dinner, and we can talk more about the other itch you ran because it was the best beer I ever had when we were doing the shopping trip. But we get back, room's pitch black for me when I get back. Did you relax or anything?
I don't really remember. I think I probably did.
Yeah, Meg was asleep, so I was just like, okay, I guess I'm going to sleep now.
Yeah. But I think we all I woke up at, that was the night I got the most sleep, and it was only like 5 hours. I think I woke up at 4 a.m.
It was pretty much like 3 or 4 a.m. every morning for us.
Yeah. The one night I did wake up at 1 a.m. and couldn't go back to sleep. So that was a 3-hour night's sleep.
What was
two nights before the marathon?
What was the best though is you could tell who was up because their Instagram, like, I was like,
well, I got
Mike Coe's been up.
I got an internet password request from you at like 4 a.m. I was like, because you're in the room next to me.
Yeah. Do you want to share the password with him? Yeah. Mike was like posting, videos and stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, sleep was hard to come by. I think that was the theme of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I was fine.
I'm just angry right now. Just seething in anger over here.
I was telling Meg this morning because I slept great last night. I was like, I think I'm okay with dealing with jet lag.
I don't know.
I think we're still in it. I'm not sure that we're fully out of it yet.
No, I'm not out of it,
Yeah.
but I slept great. I'll operate today, and I'll bet you by tomorrow I'm back on regular schedule. The only thing that's not on schedule is like normally I would go to the bathroom at certain points.
Mm-hmm.
That's all out the window.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, your body's just so out of whack.
I don't know if I've gone to the bathroom since we got there.
Oh, wow.
Just kidding. No, I have.
A lot of ramen.
I have.
A lot of ramen.
I'm not going to disclose all my bathroom.
Yeah,
dealings.
so breakfast is at the hotel, and this is again why I'd probably recommend this hotel for the marathon is there's a buffet. And Megan, what was your discovery about the Japanese like meals?
Oh, that I feel like there is no like breakfast food, lunch food, dinner food. It's all just like
Food.
And it's the same meals. Basically, you can eat the same meals at every part of the day.
Yeah, at the breakfast, there was clearly stuff that was for foreigners, like the pancakes and toast and all that kind of stuff. But there was everything on the buffet from fried chicken to...
Which I eat every morning.
I know, I did too. I loved it. Scrambled eggs. What are some of the other things that were there?
It might be a stretch to call them scrambled. They're
Loose leg eggs. They like them soupy over there.
yeah, they were running faster than I was, for sure.
Rice, miso soup.
They had
tater tots, sausages, bacon, and ham. Their bacon is pretty much like ham.
I couldn't eat the bacon. I was like, it was pretty limp.
It was not hard fried bacon.
Yeah.
Cereal. I mean, you name it.
You could find something there.
There was also salad and steamed vegetables.
Why not?
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that was breakfast. It was good. It helped us fuel in the morning for sure. First morning we were there. Then we did a shakeout run with the Asics front runners, which is like an international group more.
I'm still confused exactly what front runners are because they're clearly Asics. Right. And it's a running group, but I
think it's a little bit of a loose.
know how it ties it together.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know
I
either.
actually asked and now I forget.
Somebody should look that up on the web, what the front runners is. But
it's kind of like more of the, I think it's supposed to be like the sound mind, sound body thing. Like,
but I think it was around before that.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the theme, like the idea of it. That's why they did that meditation type thing.
Okay.
Stuff like
According to the interwebs, it's a diverse team united by the belief that movement has the power to uplift the mind.
There you go.
And I think you have to like apply to become a part of it, but that's all I got.
All right. So we did that shakeout run, which was nice because it was in the same park, in the same place that we'd be doing our shakeout run the next day. I don't know. There seemed to be, what would you say, how many people were there for the front runner shakeout?
I don't know, like 25 or 30
Yeah, that's
maybe.
what I would say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So we did loops around Shinjuku Park.
Shinjuku Central Park, not to be confused with the Central Park in the U.S., which is about 100 times bigger.
Yes.
1 to 1,000 times larger.
Well, yeah. I mean, we did loops around the park.
1K loops.
Yeah, so to get your 3-mile shakeout and run, you basically had to do 4 loops around the park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it got a little dicey because the other thing in Japan is there's no like bike lanes in the streets, but a lot of people ride bikes. So they ride on the sidewalk. And I'm never really sure which side people are riding on or even walking on.
That was confusing. I feel like because they drive on the left side, I assumed we followed those rules walking, but it seemed like it was kind of a gamble.
Yeah.
No, I think you were supposed to. Like, I did notice like people get frustrated if you were walking. Like, if you were walking the intuitive way you would from being from the United States,
Yeah.
they would be like,
I think generally that was the case, but also at least with the bikes, it was just, I feel like a bit random.
yeah.
And no one wore helmets there, which was another interesting thing. And there's just kids riding on the handlebars.
There's whole families.
Yeah.
Like on a one bike, there'd be
Yeah.
like 4 people.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I approve.
Yeah. And it was pretty cool. So after the shakeout run, what did we end up doing?
We showered up and then we went to go get lunch with Mike Kafuzi, and he took us to a mall.
Oh, yeah. We were trying to get food. And
That was the second day. That was the
Oh.
next day because that time we went for udon soup.
Just kidding. We showered and went and got udon noodles.
Yeah.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And those were really good.
That was really good. That might have been one of my favorite spots.
They're so good. It's just like, you can't go wrong with that.
We ate a lot of noodles.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good for
Yeah.
carbon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The udon noodle place was more like a diner. So the kitchen was exposed, so no hidden behind curtain.
But still vending machine
Yeah.
tickets.
And just sit down. They serve you your food.
Yeah. And then, so after that, we went to the Marathon Expo, which was kind of wild because it was about an hour again from where we were.
Yeah.
Which you're still in the city. That was the craziest thing. We drive for an hour and you're still in the city.
Yeah.
Not only in the city, you're basically still in the heart of the city
Yeah.
almost. Because
Like you could go another 2 hours and
Yeah.
still be in the city.
right. But the Marathon Expo, it was a huge convention space. So we walked about almost a mile just to get to.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on feet before the marathon.
Yeah.
We did.
And so when we went there, you had to check in. So there was a health app that we had to record our temperature every day leading up to the marathon. And when you got to the expo, they take your temperature. And I believe if you had a temperature, you're out. You're
Yeah.
out. So thankfully, we weren't.
I wonder if
hanging
anybody
out.
did get booted.
Luckily, we didn't get sunburned the day before. That would have
Yeah.
been bad. I don't think that's how that works.
I don't think
I'm
so.
sure someone did. I mean, you know.
I mean, with 30,000
yeah,
something people,
38,000.
38,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was cool. And I think the highlight of the expo probably was the Asics booth.
Yeah.
Because they put on it's their marathon, it's their hometown. There was a 4-hour wait to get into the Asics booth.
The day before we were there.
No, even the day we were there, did you see the line?
It was still crazy.
So we got some privilege and were able to sneak in the back way with our Asics guide. So we did not have to wait in the 3 to 4 hour line. Which I don't understand. Like, it's the day before marathon. You're going to, or was it a day or day? Yeah, that was the day before, right?
2 days before.
2 days before. People standing in line for 3 to 4 hours.
People want those S4s.
Yeah. And that's what we looked at. We went in there specifically. The one thing I wanted to look at was the S4, which I'm bummed because apparently there's a colorway of the Super Blast there that I didn't see.
Mm-hmm. The flower one? Or no?
No, the flower one was a Super Blast.
Wait, you just said Super Blast.
No, it was a Nova Blast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we got in there and checked out the S4. And the S4 it's kind of very similar to the Metaspeed Sky and Sky Plus, but it's a dual layer foam. So you've got turbo on the top and then I think just regular blast.
Okay.
Like, I don't even think it's Blast Plus.
And it said it was more for a 4-hour marathon?
Sub 4 is why it's called S4.
It's got more stability, so wider platform and
then more rubber on the bottom.
yeah.
And it's sold only in Japan, right?
Sold
Correct.
only in Japan.
Okay.
It's a very specific use shoe. I don't think it will make it to the U.S.
Probably not.
I couldn't. When I tried it on, I almost like if it had been something that I felt like we needed to review.
Yeah.
I was gonna buy a pair while we were there.
Yeah.
And I was like trying them on. I was like, there's a Super Blast,
Right.
and then there's the Metaspeed Sky. There's the Magic Speed. I'm kind of like, this kind of
like,
seems redundant,
Yeah, I feel you.
but I think it was a good looking shoe. It was very pretty.
Yeah, definitely looks a lot like the Metaspeeds. Yeah. So then we did the Expo. Oh, got this little clock here. That
was probably the coolest thing at the Expo.
It's a like the Seiko timing devices they have on course for those listening. The yellow boxes. It's basically a miniature version of that, which is kind of cool.
And I liked it before the when we walked by it, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I actually had a little FOMO that I didn't purchase one when I was on the course because they really were prominent on the course.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think they had it at Worlds too, right? Like on the track.
Yeah.
But so that was like my little souvenir for myself. I didn't go crazy on the souvenir front personally.
I wanted to.
Yeah. You just didn't find the right things.
I didn't. Like I felt like we went to specific stores, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but we didn't go to I wanted like
weird stuff.
Like I felt like actually the airport when we were leaving had the best.
Yeah, Thomas was like jackpot.
They actually did have good stuff at the airport.
Yeah.
So we did the Expo and got our bibs and everything. The health app was weird and kind of wonky.
Yeah,
Thomas almost got trapped, but he made it out.
I was so nervous for you, dude.
Dude, here's a problem with the speech barrier, that they couldn't tell me why I was having. So they told me to go in the information line. I looked at it. I knew that we were supposed to have we were supposed to start on the 26th to record them. And I had from the 26th on.
Yeah.
And I looked, there was spaces for it before. So I just went and just entered in my temperature for the week before that.
Yeah.
And then it gave me the green light, and I just went and got the stuff done.
Yeah, but it wasn't super clear that you had to do that you had to do your health app. So didn't Kafuzi and some other people, they didn't even do it?
Mac, Mike, and Ashley skipped that part of the line and just went and got their bib. So after we went to, which we'll talk about in a minute, another place, they had to go back to the Expo to get there.
Yeah. Like they had to go the whole way back.
You weirdly also had to run with your phone, or at least bring it to the start to get into your corral.
Right.
So we'll talk about that too, but it was a whole thing.
So we got our bibs, then we went to this place called Teamlabs Planets.
Yeah.
I have to say, this was probably one of the highlights of the whole trip. I had no idea what it was.
Right, same.
No expectation of what we were going to see inside. And it was a trip.
So it's kind of like an art installation, experiential, immersive, yeah, sort of thing where it's a large place. They have 8 different art installations or whatever. And it's, so
you had to take off. We're in line. And luckily, we all had pants that you could do this with, but you had to take off your shoes and pull your pants up to your knees, basically.
It was weird too, because when they first shuttle you into this room, I feel like we were like Universal Studios, where you're about to get on a ride, because you're standing there and you're all waiting, and they're and then all of a sudden a wall comes up and you walk into this room to take off your shoes.
It felt a little Squid Games-ish,
yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, once we realized that, okay, you're taking off your socks and shoes, let's just go for it. And then you immediately start walking up a waterfall.
Like a soapy waterfall, so it washes your feet as you're walking through.
I think
Which we thought was part
be
of it.
the reason they're doing that. It's
definitely
experience or actually hygiene.
Clean your feet.
Has to be. And then there's just different rooms with all kinds of crazy cool art installations.
I mean, but we started off in the wet stuff. Mm-hmm. Did we start with that koi pond, or did we end up at it was a lights? Which was first?
So, no, it was that I watched the video last night on YouTube to remember what it was. So there was that room with the foam balls or whatever that
Okay.
you would like, that unathletic people just could not. They were just
That was like
right.
a mini workout.
It was
be
like
honest.
quicksand.
it was
Yeah.
hilarious because people who weren't in shape were just rolling across it because they couldn't, like, didn't have the leg strength to
You
get.
needed some strength. You had to bring your knees up high, and then they squished down low, and like
Yeah.
it was like walking through mud or
That
something.
honestly was kind of like a Squid Games thing because if like half the people would have died in that room just starting out.
For sure.
And then the next room was those LED lights.
Was that? But didn't we walk across leather first after that?
Leather.
Like we did the
Maybe.
beanbaggy thing, and
there
then
was
it was
a-
I
like,
think the hallways were just long and had like
There
weird
was-
materials in the bottom.
There was that situation.
yeah.
Yeah, and then the light room full of LED string LEDs that went
Well,
all the way to the ceiling.
You're in complete darkness when you're going through the halls. There's
Yeah.
like red lights, blackness, and then you walk into this one room, and it is just it was like a million stars.
It kind of seems like maybe you died.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known if I would have died in between walking across that doorstep. I would never known. Seemed like it was you're in heaven or
Yeah,
in some
like-
space in between.
We're there.
And so you walk into a room, and it's basically lights from floor to ceiling, and then mirrors.
Actually, I know I would have still been alive because of all the influencers taking photos of themselves in there. Hey, I might have been in hell. That's where maybe I was. That's where I was.
Every single person has a selfie stick.
It was beautiful though, man. It was like I can't even explain. Like I got emotional almost in that. Just the lights were changing. There was like rhythm to it. There's music playing. There's
It's like Sigur Rós style music, like that ethereal. Beautiful.
like you're getting a back rub.
That's gonna make for good video, huh?
It's like the deep focus playlist, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And at one point, we all just laid on the floor, and because it's mirrors everywhere, and they had this like open area where you could lay on the floor and just watch the lights change colors and stuff like that. And I mean, it was intense.
I don't know. Did you think people were falling in love there?
I fell in love.
Yeah, I think so. There's some emotions. Emotions ran high.
Yeah.
I feel like if I enjoyed THC, that would
Oh yeah,
that would be the experience.
Dude, mushrooms would have been like insanity.
it would have been crazy.
Ayahuasca.
But I was wondering how prevalent that is in Japan, if it's easy to come by or not.
I don't think it is.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem like that many people.
I don't know.
were
I
high.
bought sleeping pills for the ride home that I didn't take until actually I got home here in the States last night before bed.
Yeah.
That stuff was so good.
Was it?
So good.
He had a full-on conversation with me this morning that he doesn't remember because he
Holy
was still
cow,
asleep.
dude.
He wasn't. It was jargon.
No way.
Oh, it was so good.
Did you record it?
No, because I thought he was awake, and then I was like, "Wait, you're asleep right now."
Whoa. Imagine if you did take that on the plane.
I would have ended up with all the fish breakfasts.
You might have scored you might have scored a first class seat too.
Yeah. So the next room was, this was probably my favorite room, the koi.
Oh really?
You were in complete dark. I really love the lights,
Yeah.
but it set you up for the koi. And so what you did is you walked in this room and the water was up to about a foot deep, maybe up to your knees. And you first looked and you just saw like random lights, and then you started to realize, oh no, those are like flower petals. And then before you knew it, you had koi swimming all around you. Now that,
Yeah, it's like light projections on the water.
yeah.
I kind of wish somebody would actually like brought a koi fish in there in their
Just
pocket.
one real one.
Yeah.
Just let it.
And just let it loose.
Or how about if they just somebody walked around with a stick that had like something wet?
just freaking people out. That would be cool.
But that was like very trippy because the light is reflecting off the water. The image you feel like, at least me, sense wise, I look down at the fish and they look like they were there in the water.
Yeah, and if you try to catch one, you can't because it's
Not
light.
there.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
it does look cool in your hand.
That one was really cool. And then the next room was the dome of flowers.
Oh man, dude,
That one was not for me.
that tripped me out.
Robbie stayed in there for like an hour getting high. I was like, get me out of here. I'm spinning.
I was laying down on the floor, and so there's like this projection of, it's like a planetarium,
Like a globe.
Yeah, so it's a whole ceiling, rounded ceiling, and there's these flowers and petals with designs kind of like floating through space. And I had this crazy moment because I was looking at it, and I remember seeing this one flower, and it's like drifting off into space, and I was like, felt like this weird detachment from where I'm like, oh man, that's like life, where it's
A sense of loss.
yeah, where you see something and it's beautiful or whatever, and then it just kind of fades off in the distance, and you're like it's just gone. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's on a loop. It'll come back. Well, then I walk outside of the room and read about the art installation, and it's like everything you see is happening in real time in a response to the room's environment, and will never happen again. Like this is a one-time.
It was an NFT, the whole project.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, so it's not on a loop, and I actually did see that thing disappear forever, and then that freaked me out. I did
Tears.
not like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it felt real weird. But so I was laying down there probably for like 15 minutes, and when I got up, I almost fell over just trying to walk out the door because I just stood there, and the floor of the room was tilting at a 45-degree angle because it was spinning still.
When I got up, I asked
Did you
Thomas
say
if
40
the floor
wait.
was moving.
Did you just say 45-degree ankle?
Yeah, no. that's my ankles usually when I'm running.
Yeah, May got up and she was like, are you not dizzy? And I was like, nah, I'm fine. She was like, the room.
Oh man.
I was like, the floor is going down or the walls are moving up. I don't know what's happening.
It was wild.
Now the rest of it, I was like,
The flower room was cool.
it was cool, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
the other rooms I felt were like, take me away. The flower room was like, oh, there's a lot of flowers.
Actually, the most entertaining thing in the flower room was watching the
People.
selfie people really going at it.
Yeah. There's one guy who had to be boyfriend of the year. Like
Oh, yeah.
his girl was doing so many different poses and he was getting her from all different angles
Nice.
for so long that one of the people who worked there went to them and said, you got to go.
Yeah. You used up your Instagram a lot, man. Yeah, I got separated from you guys when I was laying down in that other room, and then I thought the tour was over, so I just put my shoes back on, was waiting for you, and someone was like, no, there's 2 more spaces. And then when I was waiting in line for that one spot, I ran into a guy who's like a fan of Believe in the Run. I think he came out to the run the next day.
I saw him at the marathon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then there was another guy that we ran into in the line that watched our videos. He wasn't even there for the marathon. He was just there to hang like on vacation, which is pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie came up to us in the line and he was from LA.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey guys, I just want to tell you, watch your videos, which is always great. But he's just there on vacation.
Yeah.
Just doing it.
It's awesome. So anyways, that was a pretty cool experience. And by the way, if you're listening to this, you should probably watch the YouTube version of the podcast because we're going to put out
some
like
video.
videos and photos with everything so you can get more
Experience.
Yeah, maybe you can experience it as well.
Yeah.
And then that evening I don't even know what happened.
Yeah. What did we do after?
No, I really
Oh, we went to the Asics.
Oh, Asics house.
Yeah,
that was.
that was the dinner because
Yeah.
we did pizza the next night.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Asics house, and we had there's kind of a buffet,
Yeah,
and they had some steak there that was delicious.
yeah.
Or no,
it was the
chicken.
teriyaki chicken.
Yeah.
So good. Anyways, and then I guess we can just might as well move on to the next day.
Yeah.
We rolled in
Shakeout
again,
run.
had the breakfast buffet, then headed out for the shakeout run, and it was pretty awesome because we had talked to one of the locals there, and they said people just don't do group runs,
Yeah,
and it's just not part of their running culture. And we were a little worried in the beginning because they don't want that many people congregating in the park because of COVID still.
oh, really?
Yeah, and by the way, everybody in Japan,
Whoops.
everybody in Japan Well, they wanted us to split into 3 different groups.
I didn't even know
But
that.
yeah, I'll go through that. So everybody in Japan is still wearing masks.
Yeah, it's not like the US.
Inside, outside, everywhere.
Yeah. So, to be polite, we kind of follow the thing, although I don't think it's mandatory,
Right.
but, it's just like, yeah.
I was probably the black sheep of that. So
Robbie is wearing his Trump t-shirt walking around.
whatever. I was bringing freedom to the country.
Yeah. Anyway, so we get to the park, and I gotta say, so one thing I did before we went out there, if you've been listening to the podcast, you already know, is studying a little bit of Japanese, and I learned enough to be useful, and I actually found it to really be helpful while I was there. There's a couple situations, a couple times where it worked out that I could speak.
I commend you.
Yeah.
It did actually save us a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were several instances. And then sometimes when Thomas always was getting people to laugh. And so I was always slightly concerned as to what he was actually saying. But I think it was just because they appreciated you attempting.
I think there wasn't many people there who were non-Japanese that were speaking
Right.
Japanese. And I think that a lot of also, like, I'm saying phrases like, the one time when I got someone to laugh pretty good was I did all the polite stuff, but then I said ja mata at the end when I was leaving, which is a friendly way to say I'll see you later to like a friend. And this was a guy that I would never see again. I'm like, see you later. And he started laughing.
I like it.
But no, so we started off the Shakeout run, and we did a little I don't know if you call it a speech, but like getting everybody together. And I was able to do bilingual on that and get people going.
1, 2, 3. Go for it! All right, next one, Asics. 1, 2, 3. Asics! Next one, believe in the run. It's a little longer, but 1, 2, 3. Believe in the run! All right, let's go for a run, guys. Tokyo!
And we had Mike there. Of course, our team was there. Brandon, of course, was running around with the camera. And then we had Ashley Mateo as well. And we had about 160.
They said 160.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they counted.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 110 or something.
No,
Nice.
You got to stick around for those extras. 160 people show up, which I'm saying, like, in this country, it was a nice large group. But in this country where this is not something they do,
Yeah.
I think even Asics was surprised
Oh,
how
yeah.
many people showed up. So we started doing the loops around the park. Robbie, you were talking to one guy for a while that didn't look Japanese.
Yeah, he was from San Francisco. I forget his name now. Sorry, dude. But I ran with him during the Shakeout. It was cool.
When I saw you running with him, I was like, that's Robbie's people.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like,
He's wearing a Janji hat.
John G. had beard.
No, he was cool, and we had a good time. He's like followed the podcast and everything, so it was great. And obviously, there was just so many people from all over the world. Like
Yeah.
Malaysia, New Zealand, Australia, Europe, obviously Japan.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was really kind of fantastic. And Jerry Sun was there taking photos. And if you're not familiar with him, he does a lot of run photography. You can check him out. I think it's just Jerry Sun on Instagram. And the Asics, I think, had people. Well, we should see those photos, but didn't they have like people taking photos?
Yeah, I feel like they had as many photographers as there were runners.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
So we ran around the loop. We had a really good time. Water and stuff afterwards. Anything stick out to you about the loops that time?
Not really. Just that it was like a freaking parade through half the park. I think that time people were like, bystanders were very much intrigued by the
What's going
event, taking photos and everything. No, that was a great time, and it was fun, like hanging out afterwards and talking to everyone and meeting.
We ran into
people from around the world.
We ran into people who did the New York City Shakeout run, like Will, the runner. There's a guy, Mike, from New Jersey. These people showed up at the Shakeout run we did before the New York City Marathon.
And who was the dude? The one guy was like a garbage man in New York.
That was Mike.
That was Mike. So obviously we talked about trash.
I think it was Mike. And then Will was the other guy.
Okay.
Did he have black hair or?
He was like a very New York guy.
Yeah.
You were like, yeah, you're from New York.
Yeah.
He had the accent and everything. It's great.
Yes, he's actually Jersey, but yeah.
Oh, was he Jersey?
Yeah.
I thought he said he lived in Brooklyn.
I think Will lives.
Whatever.
So, okay.
Anyways.
We were running around, lots of people, lots of good times. And then we decided to do something more cultural.
Yeah. So we went. Wait, are you talking about the department store thing?
First we did the attempted
we should
lunch.
do that first. So Mike is great because Mike did a lot of research before coming to Tokyo.
By Mike, we mean Kafuzi.
Yeah.
It's interchangeable.
Yeah.
Something
So
you might not know.
he's like, hey, there's this place close by that we can grab lunch.
Yeah.
In the mall.
And the mall is also the train station.
And it's also 8 stories tall and huge.
And all of the restaurants are on the 7th and 8th floor.
And nothing is like...
Literally not a single word of English in that place.
It's not English friendly. It is not... there's no signs. Like if you... you can find the bathroom because there's a picture of 2 people.
And everyone eats out for lunch. I'm convinced everyone that lives in that city eats out for lunch.
You might be right.
So it was packed.
And it was kind of like time traveling back into 1989 because when you go in, it is like a department store where there's like, here's a section where you try on your shoes and high heels and things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does this still exist right now?
Robbie, did you try on a lot of high heels?
Yeah, I did. I couldn't really decide which one, so I just thought I'll buy it off of Amazon when I get home.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So anyway, we try to go get lunch and there's lines everywhere. So then we realize there's also an area that's not like a sit-down restaurant. It's more just like, I don't know, what do you call it?
Food stalls?
Yeah.
It wasn't even food stalls. It was like a prepared foods grocery store.
Okay.
Basically, it's all prepared foods.
But this is the day before the marathon, so I'm like not trying to try something.
You were not happy, and I was just like,
weird.
I'm gonna let her go.
Yeah, and we had to get back because we had to be somewhere. So we were like trying to find something real quick. And
I saw dumplings and was like, I'm done.
yeah,
I'll
that's
just
really
get dumplings.
that's all you need.
So I got one of those, almost like a Korean, the bread stuffed. It's like a dumpling inside of like a dough.
Yeah.
And then I also got just the traditional Japanese style dumplings, pork, and one that was like a mixture. And that was fun because none of the signs had what it was.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to guess.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to talk to the lady and, point at what I want.
Yeah.
I ended up with a pretty good assortment, but
Yeah.
it was a mystery pack.
Dude, being there it literally felt like when you forget your homework at school and you're trying to fake like the what
The
you
assignment.
did. Yeah. And I'm like it's that feeling of dread and kind of like, I don't know what's happening and trying to do your best to act like you know what's going on. And so, I mean, luckily I just got a bento box and it was like rare beef they're not refrigerated. So I don't know. It was really like playing with fire getting that.
Well, I think the whole thing was like that day we were rolling the dice because
Yeah.
none of us we kind of had an idea of what we were ordering, but nobody really knew. Like I even think Mike was like,
Yeah.
whatever, I'll take one of those. Yeah.
And I had to eat that real quick because we had to go. And then it's like right before we're about to leave, and my tum starts rumbling. And I was like, dude, this could go 2 directions, and one of them is really bad.
only one direction.
Yeah. And luckily it turned out fine in the end, but I was like real nervous for a second because we had to get on the bus like 2 minutes.
Well, the other thing is I didn't see anybody eating and walking. Like, in New York, you'll see somebody grab some street food and they'll eat and walk. And I was hungry and we had to go. So I was like eating my dumplings as I walked.
Walking.
And I was like, am I committing major faux pas right now?
I think it was okay, but you're right. Yeah. It's not very common.
So what did you get, Meg?
I grabbed a scone from Starbucks because I was so scared to eat that stuff the day before a marathon. If we weren't running a marathon the next day, I would have just gone for it. But the unknown had me scared.
You got to roll the dice.
Yeah, that was a good time. And then, so we went from there to a traditional Japanese dyeing ceremony. Not dye. It was kind of like dyeing, but it was dyeing like indigo dyeing.
Yeah. Like if you've seen really, really dark denim, this is where it came from, like the dyeing process in Japan, which turns out, I didn't know this, but he was saying it's basically somewhat of the national color and that's why the Tokyo Marathon
Yeah.
logo had the blue accents in it.
Okay.
Versus, I always thought just when I think of Japan, I think of red, but
Well, it was the official color of the Tokyo Olympics
yeah.
2020.
So this blue means a lot to the country. It's something that is part of their culture, I guess.
Yeah.
But it comes from these plants. So we learned all about the plants. It's fermented. So the dye is actually in a fermenting pot,
It smells really good.
but it cures hay fever.
Yeah.
I thought it gave you hay fever. That's what they were saying it. So I was like, man, I probably shouldn't breathe this in too much. And
No, it cures hay fever.
Yeah.
I don't even know what hay fever is.
yeah. I mean, I'm glad we didn't get hay fever before the expo. We would have got a temperature
Yeah.
of 105.
But yeah, so they, it's basically, I mean, it's really intense tie dyeing. It's essentially what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, intense is the word.
Ceremonial tie-dye. So yeah, you go to these pots and you're instructed to dip your shirt in,
And it's rubber banded up like a normal tie-dye
Tie-dye.
situation.
dip your shirt in 4 times.
Right.
And if you do it, like the color chart is, this is what color it'll be if you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And the darkest blue that you want is that 4th time. Although Megan,
Yeah.
I kind of wanted a lighter color, but we all had to go.
Yeah.
We had to go full on, so we did it.
so the pots were a little bit below waist level, but not low enough that you would like sit.
Yeah.
They were just at the waist level that you had to bend over the pot at sort of like a 45 degree
Whatever
angle.
angle freaking makes you feel like you're 100 years old and have arthritis.
I was like, yeah, why do I feel like I'm 80 years old doing this?
Yeah.
Like,
And then you have to squeeze your product while it's in the dye.
So there's, one of the instructors there who spoke pretty good English.
Anybody who spoke English there,
Oh,
to me, was a hero
for
because
sure.
I'm telling you, as trying to learn Japanese,
Right.
yeah.
the fact that they could get anything.
Yeah, and he did a really good job with instructing everything. And then, but as we're dipping our shirts into the thing and squeezing them, he's behind us repeatedly saying, "Squeeze your product," like, and just, but like
With an accent. Yeah.
and really getting into it, like,
It was
Like
like
in-
drill sergeant mode.
like enthusiastic.
yeah.
And I couldn't get past the fact that he spoke English so well, but just didn't say "squeeze your shirt." Because I'm like, and it's but he kept saying "squeeze your product." So,
But that's the thing. That's the little differences. Like, and that's what I mean by learning the language. Like, they don't use I because when you talk,
yeah,
it's assumed that you're talking about yourself. Like,
Right,
if I
right.
say I want
yeah.
I want to eat lunch, it's just want
Yeah.
to eat lunch.
But it was just funny just being like squeeze, like hearing the order of "squeeze your product" over and over. And plus, as my back's killing me, and I'm like, I don't want to squeeze my product anymore.
It was hard. Like, it was.
the only
intense.
other thing too. The dye was cold.
Right.
The temperatures were kind of dropping.
Yeah.
So like we were cold, we're dying. But I have to say, after we got our shirts,
Yeah.
I love my shirt.
Yeah, they're cool.
It's super cool.
And it's such a nice, like, I do feel like the best part of the experience was, like, if you had just given me a shirt and been like, hey, this is the national country's color, it's this important dyeing process, I've been like, cool.
Yeah.
But seeing it and doing it, I really did get appreciation for
Yeah.
what we're doing. And I, like I said, I love my shirt. It's probably, of my souvenir stuff, it's probably my favorite souvenir.
Yeah. It was definitely a cool thing to do for sure.
Yeah. But it was tiring and we were hungry now. 'Cause
Yeah.
Megan only had a scone.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we basically that evening. So this is the
Wait, before we leave it, so we're still in Tokyo when we get there. That was an hour.
Uh-huh.
But the neighborhoods are a little different because you'll have like skyscrapers that are super modern. And then you look down an alley and it could be from like the 1900s. Like people are hanging their clothes to dry.
Yeah.
It's like very tiny, quaint, like little buildings. I thought that neighborhood was kind of neat for that, like all the power lines and just like that was kind of like rustic.
Yeah. Just like bicycles lined up on the alleyways, which, by the way, if you left it, nobody locks up bikes there.
Yeah.
You do that in Baltimore, you're 5 minutes later, that's gone.
I don't think there's that same mentality of if something isn't yours, it's not yours. You don't touch it, take it, whatever.
I know, and I wish that were a thing here.
Also, the littering thing was amazing. There's no garbage cans.
So clean.
I heard a car horn twice while I was there.
Yeah.
It was almost a relief to hear a car horn. Like I felt attached to home finally. Just to hear some noise. It's so quiet.
I honked today in the car.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, when we were traveling to I forget where, but I was like, I would have honked my horn 10 times on this trip by now.
Yeah.
And it was like a 40-minute trip.
But the best thing is, I mean, there's no littering. And, everybody, since it is a kind of commuter city, there's people, drinking beverages, drinking things out of plastic bottles, out of coffee cups, all that stuff. Nothing on the street, no trash ever.
Yeah, because they just take it home with them.
Yeah, and there's no garbage cans. So, that was the weirdest thing. So, once you finished a beverage or something, and you don't realize how often here you do carry stuff, you throw stuff out because I was carrying stuff around Tokyo,
Yeah, you always had trash.
Yeah.
until I could find a spot.
And by the way, the other thing I realized this morning that I didn't realize while I was there is that nobody has pets.
They have the little dogs and cats. We saw a guy walking with a cat on his chest.
But how many? That was one time. Did you see anybody? I never saw a single person walking a dog
they
there.
have
Oh, I
cat
saw lots
coffee
of
shops.
people walking.
I know they have cat cafes and stuff like that.
You could pet otters.
You saw people walking dogs?
Yeah,
I saw a couple.
little dogs.
Yeah, little tiny ones.
Not compared to the U.S. though.
No.
No.
And you're definitely
Also,
not finding
never
dog crap
Never
anywhere.
saw any runners.
Also true.
Yeah, which is weird because it's a big running city.
I don't know where they go.
So then that night we went to a pizza shop that was pretty good.
Oh, it was really good. I love that. It was all Beatles stuff.
Yeah, it was like Beatles on the radio,
That was
Beatles
another-
memorabilia.
Another cool alley. It was wide enough for maybe a car to get down.
Yeah,
I don't even think the cab driver wanted to drop some people off.
barely
there.
wide enough.
So it's a pizza place in Tokyo, obviously. But the width of the building was probably what our podcast room is.
Yeah, it was pretty small. And that was just a good time, like just getting pizza the night before the race. I had my traditional 2 beers. Don't know if that was a good idea, but I think it was okay.
It worked out fine. Maybe.
Yeah. And then it was off the bed for the night before the race.
Yep.
Which I slept fine. And what I loved about the race, though, it
I
started
still don't understand.
started at 9.
Yeah, so it was like a late
So-
start.
So how much sleep did you get the night before?
I woke up at 4,
Okay, what time did you go to bed?
8:30.
9 probably.
Man, I got like 5 hours of sleep.
I feel like we
maybe.
got a solid 5 to 6 every night.
Yeah.
Maybe.
As a matter of fact, I
6.
think my watch said I was like close to 6.
Yeah.
When I looked at the sleep
All
time.
right, very nice.
And good for you. So I got up at like 4, and I realized I have like
5 hours.
5 hours to chill out before a marathon. It was amazing.
Yeah, because it's a late start for the race.
Yeah.
And we don't have to get on a bus to go somewhere,
Right.
which was so nice. So yeah, they had the breakfast that we had been getting every day was open that morning. So we met everyone. It felt really strange to be down there just like eating breakfast
and relax
calmly.
And since we
before
had
the race.
since it was like 2 hours before the race when we had breakfast, I ate like a regular breakfast,
Right.
Like a lot of food and like 2 cup. They had a great coffee machine. I had like 2 big lattes.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had time to chill, and then unfortunately we weren't all in the same corral, so we all met down in the lobby. Brian from Asics was there, carried all of our bags because he's a champion, and
Shout out.
then we all walked to our corrals. Robbie, we lost you at some point.
Yeah,
walking.
because I was in a different,
You were in
completely
E.
different
Yeah.
corral and gate, and so yeah, I was totally separate, and it was pretty cold that morning too.
It was, yeah.
And we had these awesome elite singlets from Asics that were designed by Itihara, and really
Idahara.
cool.
Greg.
Is it just Itihara? Itihara?
Idahara. One of them. Yeah.
Okay.
But you forgot about we had to do a temperature check.
Well, yeah. So when we're walking into the corrals, I mentioned you had to have your phone with you. So first you go in, you show your phone, which they just match, I guess, your face.
No, you had like a lock on it.
Yeah, but then they were also looking at like your bib number. It
Yeah.
matched your phone. So anyway, you had to go through that, and then they put you through a metal detector and a temperature check. And the temperature check is like this little machine cone thing that was sitting on a table. And Thomas walks up to it and puts his forehead on it.
It just seemed like the right thing to do.
I can't even tell the story. And you were just supposed to put your hand there.
So the guy who was taking the temperatures, he didn't speak English.
Yeah.
So he's like, no.
That dude was cracking up.
Yeah, and he's like,
Did he think you were bowing?
well,
to
he
him?
was showing me his hand, probably. He was showing me his hand,
Uh-huh.
and I thought he was like back up,
Like, giving you
like,
a high five.
So I'm like backing up and doing it again.
Yes.
It's
like-
like figured out. And I was-
like 3
Kafuzi
feet.
and I were dying
Oh, it's so
laughing at
good.
him.
Yeah.
It was so good. But it really like lightened up the mood walking into the corrals. And I
That's
feel like
what I did
after
it
that,
for.
we were like just having a good time.
Nice. Oh,
so
man.
I don't think for like future, I don't think it'll be as many hoops to jump through. Obviously, hopefully with COVID
Yeah.
Next year,
Yeah.
it probably won't be as big of a deal, and so unless it.
And even then, it seemed like a little, like, if you really wanted to, I feel like you could have somehow gotten by. Like
Yeah.
if somebody, like, it wasn't like super strict in a way. Like it was, but it wasn't.
But I think like, yeah, you could have. There were people what you'd have to do is wait for a group of people doing the scan thing and just kind of like try to plow
Exactly.
through. But the point I'm making is that you probably won't have to jump through all these hoops next year.
And those things aside, like it was very easy. Like you walk into your corral, you know where to go, and then you start running. Like
Well,
there
what's
wasn't
kind
a
of
ton
crazy though
time.
is when we're in the crowd, we're freezing for starting. We got the plastic throwaways,
I didn't even have that.
and then I had cut up a Asics shirt underneath the plastic throwaway, so I was like pretty good. Megan was freezing, and so like, how I'm not a touchy feeling normal person.
You're a robot.
Brandon, Megan, and I huddled and Tanner all hugged.
They got around me, and I went in the middle, and it was
Dude.
the best.
I'm just sad.
I had like a
now.
little hug cocoon.
Yeah, we were trying
That
to keep
is
it
pretty
warm.
cool.
Yeah.
It,
I was
worked.
So I was shaking. I was so cold.
Yeah.
Because I was just at least trying to stay in the middle of the crowd. But every time that
Wind.
would whip through, oh my gosh, dude, I was so cold.
Yeah,
I had to pee so bad because
So what did you do about the pee?
I was nervous about missing my corral or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and there was huge lines for the porta potties, and they were shutting down the porta potties like 5 minutes before, and I'm like whole rows of them, and not letting you go in. And I'm like, dude, like just let me go. And I should have just went, but I was just standing there. I had to go and just like looking at my clock. Each minute's taking forever to the start, and I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know if like that was stressful to me.
Yeah, Brandon was going through that. So they took the rope, which I thought this was interesting. When it was time to close up the corrals, they took the rope and they just started walking the rope towards the front, like hurting.
Did you see anyone get denied access? Like,
No.
I was wondering if that happened, where if like you're late to the corral, like what
Oh
actually
no,
happens?
because they had those strict rules of like if you're not in your corral, you have to start at the end. They were letting people in from the side
Oh,
when we
okay.
were like walking
okay,
up. Yeah.
gotcha.
You probably could have just jumped in with
I
us.
should have done
Yeah.
that. But so then the race started. I guess, yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
We started. They shot off cannons of like confetti,
Oh, really? So you got to see that?
Yeah.
Because I was way back, so I didn't see.
but you saw it on the ground, right?
Yeah, and a ton of ponchos. I was tripping over the whole way.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
They were also playing
That's
this
probably
One of my
yours.
favorite things,
Probably
though.
yours.
No, mine was off to the side. But one of my favorite things was people were throwing their gear off to the side when it was starting, and there's this bald guy. Someone threw like a knit cap. And it landed
No way.
right on his head, and the whole crowd starts laughing. And I thought the guy was going to get pissed off because, like, it landed on his head, and he just looks and he smiles
That's
and starts
amazing.
laughing. And and then we took off. And the best part was, normally I don't get to run with Brandon or Megan at a race. They're like those people that go up to the very, very front and take off when the race starts.
They're known as fast people.
Yeah. guess that's what they do.
They run faster.
Yeah. But no, we ran, so at least the first 5K with you.
Yeah, so my plan was to pace Mac, and he was in the corral directly behind us. And so our plan was to go to the back of our corral, and he was going to go to the front of his. And if that had happened, we would have been right next to each other. I don't know what he was doing. He was going on some bathroom line with Ashley, and he ended up towards the back of his corral too. Anyway, so I ran with Brandon and Thomas, I think probably almost to 4 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about how crazy the start is.
I loved it.
Yeah. You did love it?
I loved it.
Okay.
I mean, it was packed.
I mean, I was saying, yeah, it was just very hard to run because it was packed. But I don't know. Maybe that's how other majors are.
Yes. It's similar to Boston.
Okay.
I felt like it was amazing. Like I loved it. You're just in a sea of people.
Oh, I did love it. It was very cool.
I was just moving with the rhythm that goes. Obviously, I wasn't concerned with pace.
Right.
It wasn't like I was like, I got to get out there. And I've run enough times that I know that you don't have to go out at 6 flat to have a good marathon. You have 26 miles in which to pick up the pace.
Yeah, so I mean, I also, though, it took me 3 miles to get warm.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
definitely.
I can't remember last time I was, like, still shivering at, like, mile 2.
Yeah, I don't think I could feel my feet for the first mile or so.
I felt great.
But yeah, so I mean, we were just having fun, like soaking up the energy. It was interesting because they told us that the spectators, there would be a lot of them, but they wouldn't be loud.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, didn't really know what to expect. And it was wild to be packed with so many people and it being quiet.
Yeah.
Like there was like the little claps on the side. The participants weren't saying anything.
They did like golf claps.
Yeah.
On the like it wasn't like go. It was just
You'd hear a gambate.
yeah, but they said it gambare.
Yeah.
Like I was like that's the first thing I realized. I was like I've been saying it wrong all this time. Gambare,
which means do your best.
Gambade.
Do your best in Japanese.
Yeah.
It's like traditional thing to say.
Give it your all.
running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gambade is what.
Wait, what?
Gambade.
Are you saying that's the right way to say it, or
that's what I was hearing on the course?
Oh,
like all the kids and stuff. But the best part is too, the first 5 miles
Downhill.
slight downhill.
Yeah.
It just felt great. Like it just you got a warm up, and it was like it felt good. You were moving. For me, I was like, I was worried that we were going out too fast because I'm like, I'm running with Brandon and Megan, and this feels really good, but it also did not feel like we're taking it slow out of the gate. But I guess we were.
We run like mid-8s.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, because we honestly couldn't run much faster. I mean, it was just
Right.
unless we really wanted to weave around people, which we were not trying to do.
Yeah. When you started getting kind of like antsy,
Well,
and I was like, ease up.
I didn't expect Mac to be that far behind us, so I was like, he'll catch us in the first couple miles because I knew he was be doing low 7s and we were gonna be doing mid-8s. So I was like, can't take that long to catch us.
Yeah.
And then it was like a K would go by, and then another K would go by, and so I was just starting to like panic.
And she's like, maybe I'll just do a progressive.
And I was like,
workout.
maybe we missed him and he passed us. I
Yeah.
mean, there is 40,000 people out there.
Right.
Which I have to say, the color of our singlet though,
Yeah.
very easy to see.
Very
Yeah.
apparent.
And well, like, so as soon as Meg takes off,
Guess who shows up?
Oh, really?
Mac's like, Thomas, Brandon, you seen Megan? And I'm like, she just took off. She just can't be more than a 1/10 of a mile ahead of you.
So did he run to catch up to her? Oh.
And it took until mile 8 or 9 for us to find each other.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
that's at that part where it's like an up and back,
Yeah.
and we're running down, which was my favorite. Like out and backs, a lot of people don't like.
I
And the
normally
hair-
don't like them,
hair
but when
protection.
you know that you're going to see people the whole time, that's fun.
And that's what it was like. It was such a
Oh,
good
yeah.
distraction.
It was great. That was one of my favorite parts because you could just watch all the other runners. And I was looking for you guys. So it was like trying to find Where's Waldo
Yeah,
or whatever that weird version of Where's Waldo is.
Japan edition.
Yeah. So it was a nice distraction.
And we got to see the men's lead
Yeah, that was cool.
go through. I don't think we may have seen the women's.
Turns out they're pretty fast.
Yeah, real fast.
It is when you see them run by. You're like, whoa. And that was the other thing. There was a 10K going on, and it seemed
Yeah.
to be like almost like cross country like style for them. like there was teams of
Wait, there was a what going on?
There's a 10K. Didn't you see
Like
that?
a race?
yeah.
At the same time as us.
So
No.
You can see them on, they like just
we're-
cut to the other side.
we're
at one point.
running, and there's these. They seem like I'd say low 20s, maybe even in
I thought like teens.
maybe even their
Yeah.
teens. Just they look like the epitome of runners.
Flying.
Like they were the thin, like
Yeah.
you know, they had the headbands tied on like the thing, but they were just like shooting up the sideline, and they were going so fast. Like they're running 10K pace, but 10K pace for fast people.
Yeah.
And they're shooting up the side, and they're coming in groups of like 5 and stuff. Shoo, shoo, shoo.
Wow.
And we're just like, holy.
Maybe I did see them. I don't know.
I was wondering what they were doing because I was like, why are these guys flying from the back here? And then I realized that there was the 10K going on.
Okay.
And I was like, they must have been so frustrated getting around
Seriously.
those crowds. But yeah.
Yeah. And they were they look like they're having a good time though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the turnaround, that was cool just seeing everybody. And I saw you guys. I think I missed you on the first one, and then I saw you.
I saw you on the first one.
Yeah, I
No,
saw Meg on the first one.
I thought we did see you when we did the like
Oh yeah, it did. Okay,
yeah.
I did.
So here's the
I
thing.
missed like Kafuzi every time.
I never saw Kafuzi
I never
out
saw
there.
Kafuzi either.
Dude, you think he course cut?
Yeah, I know he probably did.
It's not like he filmed the whole thing.
I saw him on a bike later. Yeah. No, when we went, so we see Megan, we're like, hey, Mac's right behind you trying to catch you. And she's like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, really.
No, I made
But
that
we
up.
didn't have that much time.
That's not how the conversation went at all. I literally saw them and I was like, have you seen Mac? And Brandon, I don't know what you said, but Brandon's like, he's coming. I was like, yes.
Yeah. So he was behind. And so when we saw him on the turn, we're like, Meg's right up ahead of you. She's right there. He's like, great. We turn around and I'm like, I expected, okay, Robbie should be like right near us. I actually thought maybe when we turned around, we wouldn't see you. But on that one, we got there and you were probably like, I don't know. At that point, what do you think?
I know exactly how far it was because I timed it on my watch from when I saw you to where I got to that point. So I was 5 minutes behind you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're like, Robbie looked good. Yeah, he should be catching us any minute now. You know, he'd pop up. And it was just long enough that I was like, I can't stop and wait here.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, if we keep going, we're not going.
Like I
you
would
know,
catch up to.
Yeah, we're not going that fast. He should be able to.
I think
catch
that
up.
was around mile 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been around the 8 or 9 because she said she didn't get with Mac. So she'd probably just right after that hooked up with Mac.
And then I saw you again at mile like 13 or 14.
Another out and back.
And
we see you and you're like, hey. And you look strong. Your knees are up. You're like, look like you're having a good time. We're like, okay, he'll be with us shortly.
So then at that point, I was 3.5 minutes behind you. So doing the math, I was gaining about 15 to 20 seconds per mile. So probably would have caught up to you around mile 21 or
Which seems ridiculous because I was like, right after that, I was like, he'll be here. in
It
a
doesn't
second.
seem that long, but yeah, if you think about it, like 15 seconds per mile,
Yeah.
it takes another 8 miles or so.
Like I expected by like mile 14, like Robbie will be here.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Going out from the start for me, it was a little weird finding a pace because of that crowd. Like I was going from like an 8:30, then at 7:50, then like at 8:15, and then I had to take a piss break. So that was like a 2-minute break. And then, because honestly, that's probably how long I went for. And then I was like mile 4, my legs were feeling like, it felt like heavier, you know when your legs just feel a little dead. It's like, oh, this is gonna be
Long day.
a little long. So I just needed to find. I knew I wasn't gonna run super fast, so I just needed to find the pace that I could felt like I could hold forever.
See, and this is where I almost feel like you had a disadvantage because I was with Brandon and with Megan. I just was following their pace, and it was like I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And you were you trying to catch us?
So a little bit, but I mean that was definitely actually useful to me as a motivator because I was running by myself. So just having that in my mind, like my goal is not a time, but just to catch you guys was helpful. So I did find a pace that felt comfortable, but a little bit like,
Working.
Yeah. Which is like 8:15. And that was good for about 14, 15 miles. But I was getting nauseous every time I was.
Did you try hydrating?
Yeah. So they have this thing in Japan called Pocari Sweat, which is the worst name ever.
Which also sounds Italian,
Yeah.
and like it sounds like a Paco Rabanne,
Yeah.
like cologne. Pocari Sweat.
It does. Yeah. And honestly, I might as well have been drinking cologne at that point, because every time I would drink it, I'd get nauseous for a mile or so. But I was taking Morton gels as well, but I needed electrolytes, so I just kept drinking it, and it got
Did you ever take those little mint things that were there?
mint things.
They had on the table. Did you see
On
them
the course?
little plastic wrap little discs?
No.
I didn't know what they were.
Oh, I didn't see those.
I still don't know what they are. But I
I
was
think
like,
that was PCP, dude.
well, I'm like,
someone just put that out.
I'm
there.
like, it might be salt. I was like, maybe it's a salt
salt
tablet.
tab?
So I took it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What did it taste
you
like?
Think about that. I'm running a marathon. I'm like, I don't know what that
You
is in
see
that plastic
things?
wrapper. It could have been like it could have been Vaseline for your nipples, but
Did it-
threw it in my mouth and ate it.
What did it taste like?
It tasted kind of like a Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah.
Like it had that medicine-y.
Okay. Did it do anything?
Nothing good, nothing bad. It was kind of powdery, minty.
Man.
It was like a Tums.
Okay. But yeah, I was feeling so good just thinking, okay, last 4 or 5 miles, I'll just pick it up and kick it in. It was the literal opposite happened.
That's what always happens.
Okay, well let's talk about the course here a little bit. It is phenomenally distracting. You get to see the runners coming at you from both directions. The architecture, the Japanese giant like graphics on buildings, like
Yeah.
phenomenal run just to have distractions while you're doing the marathon. Out and backs didn't bother me for the most part. However, the last out and back, you go out, you are at mile 21 or so.
You're further than that.
Yeah,
I
it
think
might be like-
22, 23.
Yeah, you start this out and back, and you see the runners coming. So you're like, I know I'm turning around. It's got to be soon.
You basically pass not the
You
finish
hear the-
line, but
yeah.
you see where the finish turn is,
Yeah.
and then you go for another 6K
Yeah,
before you get to that point.
Yeah, you're right.
it was the longest. Like, I kept thinking, when are we turning around to head back?
Yeah. See, I was just trying to run with Mac, and he kind of threw out his time goals, as one does when you're feeling like complete trash. But I was so not thinking about myself at all that whole time that, you know how that is where if you're helping someone else, like you feel great.
So that didn't seem like a long.
I felt bad for him.
So I'm looking at it now, and it's a 4 kilometer out and back each way.
Yeah.
Each way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 8 kilometers total.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty long. And
It just felt ridiculous.
yeah, and there was like the sun was out, and it was like, let's be honest, the weather was pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it was
perfect
40
running
degrees at the
weather.
start,
Yeah.
high of 55. Like, but even so, I think if the sun comes out and you're not feeling great, it's not.
But
doesn't
that
feel
was
so
also the
good.
point of the course where they had the best entertainment, like the dancers and
I didn't see the
there was-
dancers, but I did see the Imperial Palace because that was my landmark. Because when we ran past it on the way out, I was like, when I get to that, I'll only have like 1 or 2K left.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that.
It's a big palace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I missed it too. And I was
Okay.
very much looking around. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, Brandon and I, he actually, I was like, when we got to there, I was like, hey, Brandon, I don't know how much energy you have, but if you want to whip out your phone and get some footage of the Imperial Palace when we go by, that'd be cool. Because he was whipping out his iPhone every once in a while
Yeah.
and getting some footage.
Nice.
Yeah, Brandon, it's funny. I thought Brandon was having a walk in the park.
Yeah. Could be, but he hadn't run in a couple weeks because of that hamstring injury that he had.
I think 26 miles hurts you no matter what.
Dude, I don't
Especially
think
if you
Brandon's
don't
run more.
train.
I don't think
Yeah.
he's run more than 10 miles in the last 2 months.
Accurate.
I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I was still, but in my head, like, the kid's a stud. I was like, this is nothing to him. But yeah, he was getting
yeah.
tired. Because I thought when we finished, I was like, oh, you could have ran. He goes, Tom, that actually, I don't think I could have run much faster.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so then,
what was the last bit like for you?
so around mile, I was still feeling good up till like mile 22. I think I ran like and then I was really trying to catch you guys. So I ran a couple like a little under 8-minute miles. Just, and I think I saw the back of Brandon's head, and then
You watched it disappear.
That was it. And then I just started feeling overwhelming, like just fatigue and sickness and.
So
whatever.
what happened? Like, what did that do? Did you slow down? What happened?
A little, yeah, like a little bit. Like not, looking at my pace, it wasn't that far off. It was like 9-minute miles, but I just started feeling terrible. And this one guy came up behind me and was like, "Oh, believe in the run." And he's like, "Love your videos." Start chatting with me. I was like, "Okay, maybe that'll help me get to the finish." And we probably chatted for like a half a mile, and I was like, "Dude, I gotta pull off." And so I just stopped for like 30 seconds.
Like stop?
Yeah, just like stopped for
Wow.
probably 30 seconds, reevaluated my life decisions, and thought, well, I can't live in Tokyo, so I guess I gotta get to the end of this. And it started just jogging, and actually I felt okay, like just overall just jogging, but then it just became long. Like, look, I was looking at my watch probably every 0.05 miles.
That's the worst.
And being like, there's no way I just ran a 10th of a mile. You know how when you're feeling good, you're like, I can't believe I just ran a mile. That was like 2 seconds. Like,
just
that was like a
flew by.
minute long. And then is the reverse on the spectrum where I'm just like, there's no way. And then you get into that mindset where you're like, maybe this is one of those weird races where it's actually 26.2 miles and not 26.7. Obviously, then I saw the sign for 25 miles and realized it was an extra half mile to go.
Also, something that they do on this course, which is, I don't think, lovely, is they warn you that the mile marker's coming. So they put a sign for like 41K, 40K.
It's not a warning. What it was that we found out is they mark, okay, so the water station is the 39K water station. So you get a sign that says, the 39K water station's coming up, but we can't read Japanese, so we just see 39K. And then you run past it, and maybe 100 yards later,
Wow.
you see 39K marker.
That's fun. I don't pay attention to Ks because I don't know what they mean. So I didn't notice that, but that is crazy.
I'd be like, wait, we're here again.
It was
that's messed
upsetting
up.
every once in a while because you'd be like, you'd run, and then way up in the distance, you'd see another sign, and you'd be like, that's the same
oh, man.
same
Dude,
sign.
That sucks.
You're like, I guess this between here and here is 39K.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I kind of like the Ks though.
Yeah, maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah, if I understood them more, maybe.
Yeah.
I like they
Still
went.
kind of
It
a
felt like
mystery.
it made it seem like things were going by faster.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of sucked is like when you see a 39K and you're like, okay, I know we got to go to 42K, and you're like, oh, that's 3 more of these, and then you start learning the math, and you're like, well, that's about 6.2 miles for every K.
No.
What?
That math does not check out.
For every K?
No, 0.6.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You said 6.2.
Yeah. I was like, wait.
You got to listen to what I'm thinking. 0.6, 0.62.
0.62K.
Yeah, it's a little over half mile for every K.
Sounds like my investment account. My retirement account. It's at 0.6K. One of those good ones.
You can keep going. They come fast.
But they whatever K we were at, it was the last K, I guess.
Yeah.
Is basically
41K.
Is basically a street that goes on until the end of time.
Yeah. Mac was like, we're getting close, right? And I'm like, yeah. Then I couldn't see the finish. And I was like, I have no idea.
I was
It's
like,
never going to end.
the finish line has to be somewhere on this street that I can't see the end of.
Yeah.
And because it's a kind of a tunnel.
I know,
And,
I was
and
like-
a cobblestone road.
I was like peering up and I was like, is that the finish at the
Same.
end there? Is that light?
Well, once I saw that green thing. that
Yeah.
was like coming
Yeah.
off the
I think it's
side.
like the flag that's saying, I don't know.
Congratulations.
something.
Yeah.
But man, that was a long stretch for sure.
See, and again, I kind of feel like Megan got to run across with Mac. I got to run across with Brandon. Like, I feel bad that you kind of,
I got to run across with
Solo.
a ghost of my past.
We were all
life
there to watch you. You didn't
experiences.
see us, but we were all watching you, and I was like, "Oh, Robbie does not." But the best was you made such an effort to put your hands up. It looked like
Looked like a dead pterodactyl wing. Like, seriously.
that's a pretty accurate description.
Those are the best. But one of the moments, and I don't know why I always get a little emotional at the end of a marathon, but Brandon and I crossed, and after we crossed, we hugged each other,
And then you cried.
and I was like, Brandon, we just finished a marathon in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, we do silly videos about shoes on the YouTube, and here we are in Japan
That is amazing.
crossing a finish line. And he was like, hey, thanks. And I was like, no, thank you. I mean, I couldn't believe that I got to run a whole marathon with Brandon. Like,
Yeah.
that kid
is pretty awesome.
His PR, by the way, I think is like 240 something.
240 something low.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the finish was interesting because it was like kind of a little bit underwhelming. There was nobody in the stands, and it was like in a parking
I
lot.
didn't realize
basically.
till a half mile later that I didn't have a medal. I was like,
yeah.
hey, wait a second.
Yeah. And then they kind of shuttle you out. So you guys were gone. I had to find y'all because you were at a.
Well, weren't we on the
This
phone
was
with you?
the-
And we're like, here's the medal. If
I'm
you're
like,
watching the
I'm
video.
texting Robbie, telling him that
Map of the course.
he's got to leave the finish line and go to the right, even though we weren't supposed to go to the right because of our bib color, but we were going with Asics to this place. So I'm trying to communicate this to Robbie over text message, and all I get back is, I'm giving up. I'm sitting down.
It was like in Royal Tenenbaums when Richie Tenenbaum just takes off his shoes and
over.
sits in the tennis court
Yeah.
and just like gives up. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, because what had happened is I went the wrong way because I was just, I don't know what's going on. I'm just listening to what people tell me. The wrong way where we needed to go. And so I was then looking at the map, and like I was on the other side of the race, so I couldn't cut through because it's the finish line area. And I realized how far I was gonna have to walk around, and I was like, I can't do it.
Oh boy.
And I just sat there, just like, I don't know where. Just someone come find me because I don't know I don't know where to go, what to do.
Meanwhile, Ashley Mateo had run. This was her final of the 6-star.
Yeah.
So she's going to get a medal, and I noticed that they have these big, beautiful hoodie towels to grab. So I grabbed one, and then everybody realized that you can get one because I think Meg thought they were for 6-star finishers. But I'm like, there's a whole table of them. There's not that many 6-star finishers. So we got the hoodies on, and it was like the perfect thing to have because it was a little bit breezy, a little bit cold. And put them on. And we go to the Asics place that we're supposed to go for food and stuff. And I wasn't going to shower, but we had our bag there, and I had clean clothes. And I was like, well, if we're hanging out here, maybe I'll rinse off. So I go back there with Mac and Brandon, and they hand you a towel that is a little larger than a washcloth, a little smaller than a hand towel.
Uh-huh.
And that is your towel
To shower with?
to shower with. And I'm like, great. Like, I don't want to be naked in front of Mac, and I certainly don't want to see Brandon naked.
Yeah. Wow.
This is going to be a weird situation. So turns out I like wait for Mac and Brandon to go in their shower. I slowly do my stuff in the locker room. And then I go back, and the showers have like privacy, like doors and stuff like that. So behind my shower, and I'm like, this is cool. They went in a little ahead. They should be out by the time I get out. This will be great. I won't have to see them or do anything. I open my door, and Brandon's opening his door.
Did you have a George Costanza moment?
No.
You're like, it's cold outside.
Cold water. No, I just did.
There was no hot water in my shower. I swear.
I cracked mine open a little bit, and I said, I'll wait. And I just went in there and used my little tiny towel to start drying off in there. But like, I'm like, great, now what do I do? Luckily, I had brought my clothes with me, but I had brought tights. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea.
Robin Hood style.
You know that when you're a little bit wet, trying to get a tight on is like trying to get a wetsuit off, or what? It was like my leg, and I pointed my toes, my foot just went and did the cramp.
Yeah.
And I'm like, crap. We finally get there, and now I see Robbie, Robbie, you don't look good.
Did I look good, Meg?
You look pretty rough.
Okay. Because I was waiting, trying to find y'all for so long, and I never got to the end where they gave those towels out. I did have a space blanket, but I could not stop shivering. I was just shivering. And
I've tried to get you something hot.
yeah, never happened. That's all right.
Like you're on your own now.
But we were leaving soon after. But even when I got back to my room and took a shower and got in bed, I was still shivering. I was probably close to hypothermic in a way.
Wow.
Like if I was outside for probably like another 15 minutes. Because it was cloudy and cold out after the race.
And your sweat dries and yeah.
But anyways.
It was supposed to rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I tell that one story about when so anyways, we were after the race, I was trying to find y'all, and there was this huge like 20-foot wide pathway, and there's nobody on it because it was actually out separate from the corral or whatever where you finish. And there was this dude who was clearly in like horrible like cramping and pain, just like sitting there trying to like stretch, and he's like barely on the walkway, and there's nobody on this walkway, super wide. And there's like a Japanese, I don't know, police officer, enforcement person, just trying to like nudge this guy off the walkway because like he wants him to go in the grass, and the guy's just like not moving, and the guy's trying to get him to go. I'm like, dude, give him a break, man. Like he just finished a marathon.
Rules are rules in Japan.
There's nobody around for like 100 meters. I felt so bad for the guy. It was hilarious. And then there was a guy who, when I did sit down the one time.
I thought that was the story we were getting.
No, this is the other story that another Japanese guy, like an older guy, he had run the race, but we were just sitting next to each other, and he offers to take my photo. So I give him my phone, and he takes a photo of me. First, it was in panoramic mode, so those didn't turn out so great. And then after he was done taking a photo of me with my medal, he's like, oh, like tells me to come in. And he just wanted to take a selfie with me on like both of us.
But he didn't know who you were. It wasn't like, hey,
no, never met him
not
before.
Not a fan of Believe in the Run, does not
Didn't
know.
talk to him.
It was like, hey, another runner.
Just let's take a picture together. I was like, all right. So
share this moment.
Now you have that forever.
We'll put it on the YouTube version.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy, but it was pretty funny. Anyways, finally found y'all, and then we
wrapped up.
We took a van back to the hotel, which again felt very long.
It did.
I think it was like a 30-minute
Like
drive.
I thought we finished near where we started.
No.
And
it was several miles away, I think.
Yeah. And then we got ready for dinner. And I have to say, the layout, so we went back to the Asics house for dinner. The layout was pretty sweet. Like they had waiting for us cocktails.
Well, you guys went out before. Didn't you go to the bar before that?
Oh, no, we got Chinese food.
Yeah. Like at the hotel?
Remember?
Oh, we went straight. Yeah. Like I didn't shower. Like
yeah,
Thomas
we went off the van in the hotel had like several restaurants in it. And we went to a Chinese one.
Got some champs.
I really don't think they wanted us there.
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah, because you're gross.
I felt bad.
It was a nice tablecloth restaurant. We're rolling in with, space blankets and...
Yeah.
And here's the thing is I wasn't going to do it because I'm like still in my towel thing. But someone went in with their towel on. So I was like, well...
That opened the floodgate.
They've already ruined it, so...
Yeah.
But
It's poisoned the well right there.
Yeah.
We sit down and, of course, we're loud Americans. And
well, I didn't... I wanted to join y'all, but I was like... I was under my covers feeling so nauseous and watching Murdoch Murders.
Oh,
yeah.
Pretty good, right?
Good show.
We were a little worried about you. Like, we were like, do you think you'll make it to dinner?
I just nibbled on granola and then took a salt stick electrolyte tab, and that seemed to kind of turn it around.
It's always the worst when you can't go celebrate after your marathons because you feel like trash.
I think that was the worst I've ever felt since my first marathon, maybe worse than my first marathon.
Wow.
Which... At least post race.
You rallied okay.
Yeah. And then we made it for dinner, and then it was fine. That was pretty awesome.
Dinner, the layout was sick.
Hosted by Asics CEO.
Hiroto-san.
Yeah.
And when we got there, the drinks were like they had mixed drinks already lined out. They had beers. They had
sake.
I think I started with a glass of sake, and it was like a champagne glass of sake. It was a big pour.
What did I keep drinking there?
We did the sours.
Sours. It's
So
just,
it was called lemon sours,
yeah.
and it was vodka with club soda and lemon
It
basic.
was
They're
delicious.
I feel like the mixed drinks there were pretty basic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as, which was fine.
And then
I think I drank sake like the whole night.
we did the weird thing is I think I drank a lot that night, and we went out after that and drank more, and I did not feel like I got intoxicated at all.
I know, same. I wonder if the alcohol content's lower. Do you think it is?
I don't,
'Cause I never
you can't do
felt-
that because vodka and whiskey, like when
That's
we went to the
true.
bar, they're not like doing
Right.
low. I think
I just never felt like I got ripped.
I think maybe it was
The sizes seem smaller.
That's also
the
true.
sizes are
Yeah.
smaller, but I think it had something to do with the physical exertion. All right, so along with the fantastic food or drinks that they had laid out, the food was pretty sick too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like there was everything from sushi. That's where the steak was. They had steak there.
Fried chicken.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the bread was amazing.
Well, it was a bakery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what
Yeah.
the deal was. I was wondering why the bread was so good.
Bread was really good.
Yeah, and maybe, since we had full stomachs, that's another reason we didn't feel the alcohol as much. But we stayed there, we chatted, we talked with all the people that were there.
And it was cool because they had a surprise for the people who
Oh,
got their
yeah.
6-star.
Yeah. Little ceremony.
Yeah, they did like they gave them these like, I forget what they were, but like a special like Asics.
I brought one of them home.
Did
I
you?
got one at the gift shop yesterday.
Oh, really?
Oh, not one of you thought I stole one of the Asics
I
ones.
was like, wait, that's kind of messed up. But what are they called? Or
I
is it
think
like a traditional.
there's something. They're these little egg-shaped dudes,
Mm-hmm.
and you're supposed to color in their eyes to project some sort of luck for yourself.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's a little card that came with it that
Cool.
she talked about. Yeah, so
So that was nice. And congratulations to anyone who got their 6-star medals.
apparently it was a huge 6-star one because
Guinness record over 3,000.
Oh, really?
yeah,
Yeah.
and the reason why is because Tokyo hasn't been held for 2 years.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that had been waiting on Tokyo to get their 6 stars. And I'm thinking about 6 stars, man. That's an expensive proposition. Like you are doing, like most of the people, if you're not from Tokyo, so we talked about this, there's only, how many entries are allotted to foreigners?
It's like 10,000.
So out of the 40,000 entries, 10,000 are allotted for foreigners and only like 3,000 for the US, right?
I think something like that.
So just to get into the Tokyo Marathon is a feat in itself.
Yeah.
And then you have to do all the other marathons, obviously. But you're looking, a lot of people, what they do is to get that entry, they'll go to like marathon tours or something like that that can guarantee them an entry. So you're paying, some people are paying well over 10 grand to run the Tokyo Marathon.
Easy.
Oh, yeah.
Travel, hotel.
Yeah, and it's quite the investment. And that's why I was like, man, if I was doing this and with the COVID stuff, I'd be freaking out. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was freaking out in general, but just like in the off chance that you would get COVID or something would happen, like, man, could you imagine? And I wonder if that, you think that probably had to happen to someone.
Somebody had to, or your training went bad and you just.
Or that,
Right.
yeah, you got
Yeah.
injured like the week before.
Yeah.
There's so many factors.
I mean, at this point, like to Tokyo Marathon, I had the hip issue going in a while back. I would have done anything.
Yeah.
Like I would have tried to speed walk
Oh, yeah, for sure.
the Tokyo Marathon if I had to. Like the fact that we had a chance to get over there and be a part of the race. There's no way you couldn't want to finish this marathon.
For sure.
Dude, they'd probably be chasing you off with those wooden stick brooms that they have.
Well, so I saw somebody's post and he's like, "Hey, I got my final 6-star Tokyo. Their cutoff times are really skinny, so I had to do my best to finish under the cutoff time."
Oh, really?
Cutoff time was 7 hours.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean,
What is that though? Like if you're running,
It's like a 16-minute mile.
okay, so
Yeah.
you just have to at least.
that's speed walking.
Yeah.
Real speed walkers can do real fast, but I mean, for me,
Yeah, like if you were had to get someplace.
dude, how crazy was that they were using stick brooms though? Like, I think I said it was like a Hansel and Gretel situation, like old school sticks from Brothers Grimm or whatever.
Hey, if it works.
They were sweeping
Wait, where were they using these?
the sweep the cups out at the course and stuff. Like they were using. I was like, man, I guess it's more efficient than a regular broom. But I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It works.
So anyway, we decided the party wasn't over.
It's never over.
We went to Golden Guy, not to get confused with a golden person. It's golden.
Which we realized yesterday, Thomas thought when we talked about Golden Guy that there was some sort of statue.
Or that's just, it was a golden guy, not G-A-I.
And that
Day Spa. D-A-Y-E.
Exactly. But this bar was insane.
it's like there's just these tiny alleyways, which literally it seems like it's from Harry Potter because you're in a main shopping district and you just turn down the street and suddenly it's the smallest alleyways in the entire universe.
I thought that was the most
And there's
fascinating.
bars everywhere.
The fascinating part of Tokyo is that you have these clean, modern, like surfaces, and you call down the cracks, and in the cracks is where the real life is.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like these little alleys on the side, that was Tokyo for me. Like you got back there and you were transported to a different world. Like when you say Daigon Alley, it's exactly what it's like. It was like there's a door to another universe.
Yeah.
Right off the
It's
side.
like the alleys are like what, maybe 10 feet wide, and then they're just tiny bars, and I mean tiny, dude.
When he says tiny, like to get past the bar, you basically rubbed your junk against everybody at the bar.
Yeah.
Like
Easy, yeah.
there's a wall.
There were crimes against humanity happening in the moment.
Yeah. There's a wall and there's a bar and there's seats between the wall and the bar, and someone's back, if they lean back, would hit that back wall, and you had to walk behind them.
And there's like 6 seats at the bar.
Yeah.
It is the whole space is about 8 feet wide, maybe 10 feet at the most. And they're smoking cigs, smoking meats at the same time. They have a little hibachi grill going, man.
And then we went upstairs, and these are not code quality stairs. These are stairs that like,
Everyone's dying in there in a second.
yeah, if there was a fire, everybody's gone.
For sure.
So we're up, and it's basically like if you went into someone's closet and had a party.
Yeah. It's like Spin the Bottle, but Tokyo edition.
Yeah. We get up there, and the couch line the wall, and there's a little table and a couple little chairs, and there's even a trap door that when you opened up, you could see down at the bar and let them know that you needed service,
Yeah.
like someone to come up. It was.
And there's already 2 Japanese like businessmen up there, and we were wedged in against them.
Which they seem totally fine with.
Well,
Like, very
probably
comfortable.
normal.
yeah, for them, they're like, yeah, that's great.
I'm pretty sure Thomas's seat was like a soup can or something.
Yeah.
Like it was not much bigger than that.
It was. But it was cool, and we hung out, and the music there though was on
wild.
point.
Oh, it was
Old school rap and country music.
in country.
Yeah, you got a little bit of everything.
And we had a few drinks there. Smelled like cigarette smokes. Brought me back to way back in the day.
Whiskey sours, old fashions.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of missed. Like it was kind of nice in a nostalgic way, smelling like smoke when we left. I know it's gross. But
No, it wasn't that. It
in
was
a weird way. It made me.
That
feel,
place smelled like clove cigarettes.
Oh, I know.
The one that got me though was the next night.
Yeah.
We go out to dinner, and people were smoking while they're eating their dinner.
Yeah.
And I haven't been in the smoke restaurant. I don't know how long, maybe the 90s.
Yeah.
But like people were one hand smoking, other hand eating.
Sushi.
And the restaurant was this one was a pretty decent size. And the place stank of cigarettes.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of would rather have it in a bar situation than a restaurant.
Especially brightly lit restaurant. It wasn't like that romantic. Like
Yeah.
at the bar, it was kind of like that romantic. We're in a hole in the wall, like the weird photographs on the wall, and someone smoking. You're like, yeah.
I mean, there was something. If there's ever going to be a time I'm going to smoke a cig, that's where it was going to be. Like it was.
I don't believe that. I believe Robbie's probably sneaking cigarettes right now.
Honestly, if someone offered me a clove cigarette right then, I would have definitely smoked it.
Okay.
Because that was my choice. I always smoked cloves back in the day. Not until they were illegal, then had to transition to cigs.
I still don't understand how they became illegal.
It was Obama. Like it literally was. I'm not making that up as a political thing. Like he outlawed like flavored cigarettes. Like it was one of his agenda items, and so they became illegal.
Cloves or flavored cigarettes?
Yeah, because they had like vanilla and like cherry and all kinds of
What's the
flavors.
difference between that and a non-flavored one?
I mean, just non-flavors like tobacco. Of course, they didn't outlaw menthol because like half the American population smokes menthol, but just like like normal flavors or abnormal flavors.
I would think clove. You could just do plain clove then.
Yeah, I know. That's what's weird is you would think because they do have. They have that, but they were just basically.
He's a president that we know has smoked weed.
I know, like he smoked cigarettes too.
Oh yeah. That's right.
And but anyways, so that was back in the day, clove cigarettes, and it was always like whenever you would smoke them in a bar, inevitably every time somebody would come up to me and be like, "Oh, can I get one of those? I haven't had one since college."
Yeah,
because it's true. That's like always the case.
I don't know. There was a story at one point that they caused your lungs to bleed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of true.
Oh, it is?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It was they have a numbing agent that makes it more smooth to smoke them. I think it's called eugenol. It's like used in dentist's office. And so that's like, it's for your throat.
So if you really like clove cigarettes, you can buy cloves in the grocery store. You could grind them up and roll them, right?
Yeah, I mean, if just straight cloves, and you can still buy clove cigars, like DeJarm cigars, but they're terrible. They're cigars, like they don't taste good.
Yeah. So after that bar, and Brandon got a lot of good photos.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the best was there's a woman waiting to go into the alley toilet, which I don't know. The toilets in Japan were phenomenal. We didn't talk about this enough. Okay. We get to our hotel. The toilet itself is heated. So when you sit down, you get a warm welcome.
Yeah. Oh, it was like an embrace.
Then you
for
got the
bum.
buttons on the side. You got the bidet.
Yeah.
And you got the other one. One of them shoots you in the hoo-ha, and the other one gets you in the VJ.
Yeah. It's accurate. I didn't know which one to pick, so I just picked them all.
You try
like a Pokemon for the
full shower.
Gotta
I got to tell you, though, I don't understand. Like, it was amazing because you even went to the crummy alley toilet area.
Yeah.
They still had the jet toilets.
Yeah, the most divey bar in the world will have a bidet in it.
Yeah.
It's like you could play, and the whole console looks like you're playing a video game.
They had like at the public restrooms, it'd be like play music or like it was like a full on.
Did anyone actually explore all the options on the
No,
console?
I just used the squirts.
I used the flush
Both
button and that
ways.
was it.
Well, okay. So the toilets are phenomenal. Warm to sit on. Hot water shoots out of them to wash you after you're finished.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do feel like a savage. I'm basically a caveman here.
Yeah.
Wiping with leaves and stuff compared to them. So anyway, the toilets were amazing. But this alley that is pretty much, when you go down the alleys, it's like another world. Like Robbie said, it's like a third world country or something like that. But I went into the restroom, clean, nice.
Yeah.
And Maggie went in and it had the...
It was shocking coming back to the United States airport.
Right, going to
The
BWI
Dulles,
and ugh.
it was rough. But yeah, Brandon took an awesome photo. Hey, Brandon, you can show it on the YouTube.
Yeah, it's of a lady who was waiting to use that restroom, but it looks, you would think it was like quintessential, like Japanese experience.
And shout out to Brandon because he took some freaking sweet photos.
Yeah,
he did.
A lot of good ones.
Like there's, which you probably been seeing on the YouTube version.
Yeah.
But yeah,
a lot of good stuff. And if you haven't, we're gonna start hosting because the photos are awesome. Not all of them. We can't. It's like Instagram doesn't like set up nicely to really showcase them as much as we could.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start including them on the new website, and you're gonna have galleries of when we do these trips. And who knows? Maybe you're in some of the pictures if you came out to the Shakeout run and stuff.
Yeah. So that was the night after the race, and then last day, kind of last day, but Monday, last full day.
It was I feel like we packed in so much.
Yeah,
we really did.
So we got up and you wanted to go specifically to the Pokemon store, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we wanted to go see that day. Also seems unreal because I feel like it was 2 days, but it was really one day.
Yeah.
We got up and we walked to a shrine.
which is really cool.
It was, again, beautiful, like serene. Like I sat on a chair and did like a mini meditation just because I was like, this place is, I gotta just feel this being here. And we did that, and then we walked through to Shibuya.
Yeah.
Shibuya.
Jay-Z in the house.
Yeah. Shibuya. Towards Harajuku. Yeah. Sorry, people. We get to this alley, and it's really cool. And again, you go from being at a shrine at one moment to being at like the most plastic neon craziness. We walk down this alley. Again, alleys are where it's at in Tokyo.
Yeah.
We go down this alley. The number one stuff was strawberries, unfolded potatoes, and petting otters.
Dude, apparently these strawberry sticks and like potato spirals, it's like all the rage with Japanese teenagers, which is one of those moments where I'm like, there's some things I get, and then there's just, I don't understand the concept of this. Like there was long lines for this stuff.
Did you try the strawberries?
I didn't. Kafuzi did.
Kafuzi did.
Yeah,
we
said
have
it was
put
too
up that
sweet.
video because while he's eating that strawberry,
Oh yeah, you gotta tell this story.
he sees somebody who's like cleaning up the street. They had that little, the little bucket on a handle with the
Like a kind of like a dustbin, but old school.
with a broom, and there was a pigeon. I guess they didn't want the pigeon where it was, so she kind of guided the pigeon into the dust broom bucket or whatever,
Yeah.
and walked it across the street, and then let it out of the bucket on the other side of the street.
Yeah, you would have thought that pigeons were just like that was a pigeon station for moving places. It was that's how it like knew what to do.
Yeah, it got in, just hopped
Got
off.
in, got off, and she was treated it like it was a normal thing she does every day, which she probably does do every day.
Yeah, and we were getting a little hungry, so we really wanted to try. It was a potato that's unspiraled, so they cut it in a spiral, but they put it on a stick, and it's probably about 1.5 feet long to 2 feet long.
Yeah, and that's one of their selling points is that it's very long.
Yeah,
and
they have the longest in Tokyo.
It's exclamation points saying it's very long everywhere.
There was a line. So the store's open at 11. At 11 o'clock when the place opened up, there was a line down the street
It was wild
to get a fried potato on a stick.
Yeah,
And strawberries were out the door.
it was crazy.
So we're like looking down this alley, and we see this sign that has, I think you took a picture of it, I took a picture of it, you can spend, I forget how much it was,
Oh, it was $15 US,
$15 US for 15 minutes,
25 minutes.
25 minutes with an otter.
All of the otters.
All the otters.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah.
Because I watched a YouTube
I was
video.
gonna say.
But what about the people? That might have just been for the YouTube video. Because think about the line. Because there
Maybe.
was a line.
But that's why they said if it's busy, you can only select the 25-minute option.
Maybe it wasn't just maybe you're in a room with other people and you're just playing with otters.
That's what I'm thinking that you have to go.
I still should have done that. Why didn't I do that?
How many otters? There was like 20
It looked
otters.
dirty.
That's not stopping.
I mean, otters.
Yeah.
And did you see the little hand
Yeah.
when he was like unloading and the little hand popped out of the
man.
side?
Yeah.
They also had because it was Shibuya, like the Shiba Inu is their mascot, I think. And so they had Shiba cafes, which I wish I would have went to. That would have been fun.
Next time.
But yeah, Harajuku, that's a pretty popular place.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't
only
realize-
time I'd heard of it before was apparently it was the launching place for like the street clothing thing. And then who's the girl, who's married to the country singer now?
Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
Apparently for like one of her videos got the fashion.
She has a song called Harajuku Girls.
There you go.
Yeah. And I think Nicki Minaj has a song too.
Yeah, so that like style and stuff transcended just from this little like area, but
Yeah. It was cool.
yeah.
So then we kind of just went and broke up and went our own separate ways, or maybe just that was me.
That was just you.
Oh, okay.
Like the rest of us stayed together. There was another weird thing was stores would have multiple storefronts. So that we went over to the North Face. Mm-hmm. North Face had 5 different shops.
Yeah, that was
like
confusing.
6, yeah.
Yeah. So there was like, this is North Face, this one's North Face Supply, this one's North Face. So you walked in one and you thought, oh, I just saw the North Face. And then you'd walk down the street and be like, oh, no, there's a different one here.
Yeah, it's like the high-end version or whatever.
Yeah, they did have the purple label stuff. We looked at that. I almost got a jacket at the one. There's a really cool jacket.
So you converted the yen.
No, I was just like, I don't know, just like,
Yeah.
do
we really need another
Yeah.
jacket? That's the same thing. Yeah.
And so we did that. Robbie, I don't know where you went.
I think, well, you know how I am.
Yeah.
Like
Distracted.
I just kind of.
It used to cause me stress, and I was like, I'm not responsible for him. He'll find his way home.
Yeah.
I don't have. He's not going to be upset if I don't wait for him. So I finally kind of gotten to a place where I'm like, okay, Robbie's just doing Robbie.
Yeah, and it's not like I need to. It's not like I don't want to be with anyone. It's just like I
Want to be free.
It's how I've always been. No, yeah, or just I do feel like sometimes I need a little bit of like just to be away from the group, and so it's not that I do it on purpose, but I'm just like, oh, this is interesting over here.
Yeah.
And then it's just drift away.
Yeah, it used to cause me stress. Now I'm like, I think I haven't said something to me. I said, I'm dealing with it very well.
I mean, if we need to be somewhere, then yeah, I can see how that's stressful.
Yeah.
Like, but I knew that day too that it was kind of like
relax.
whatever.
So we ended up back at the noodle place.
Okay.
And this time, Robbie, because but I was pretty hungry by the time we got there.
Yeah.
We get in there and I see Kafuzi got a beer. And it looked really frosty and good.
Mm.
So I went out to the vending machine, got beers for Mac, for Brandon, and myself. It had to be the best beer I've ever had.
Wow.
And
Just because of the
it was
time
like
and place.
Sapporo Dry or something like that, but it was the time, the place, and the meal. So the mug was so cold and frosty. The beer was so crisp and cold, paired with this little bit of spicy udon, spicy ramen, and the noodle. It was a moment. Like I can think about it right now. My mouth waters and goes back to that little cubby hole.
Yeah, I don't know if that's umame, but it sounds like it should be.
It was
I don't know
amazing.
if that's the actual definition, but for now, maybe it could be that.
Well, it's weird because like you're like noodles again. And I was like, noodles
It's funny
again.
because you do think that, but then once you have it, you're like, oh yeah, you're not tired of this at all.
And it hits all the spots. You get the hot, you get the noodles.
Spicy.
There's a little bit of pork in it. Meg didn't get the pork, and I was like, you could have given me the pork.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I went to like a robot sushi place. I guess
That's
is what
right.
they're called. Yeah. So that was a pretty wild time too. And
the price tag is the shocking thing about this one.
yeah. And I wasn't sure how it worked either because I'd never been to one of those, but there's no waiters or waitresses or anything like that. It's just a hostess, and she takes you to your booth, again, similar to the ramen place where you have your individual booth and a touch screen where you just order whatever pieces you want. Pretty simple, like just nigiri sushi. I think they had some rolls, but
I think the booth makes you feel okay to eat by yourself.
yeah, it's nice.
For sure.
And there's while I was waiting, there was a girl from New Zealand who was also, because I was like trying to figure out how it worked, and she was also there for the first time, and but kind of like figured it out together. And so, but anyway, so I sat down and I ordered the sushi, and then it just like 5 minutes later stops in front of you, and you just like pull off the plates. Like each plate has 2 pieces, and I ended up getting like 15 pieces of sushi. It was $8.
It's crazy.
And there's no tax or tip in Japan. So that's a straight $8, 1,100 yen. Like, it's crazy.
I loved the idea because the not having to deal with the tip, especially in a foreign currency and not really know, like I would have like been like, here's, because we had coins a lot. So you would have been throwing coins at people. But like you either had 1,000 yen or you had like coins.
Yeah. You're either Scrooge McDuck or like a millionaire. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But like a real millionaire, not a cartoon one.
But not having to deal with that and not having to worry about tips and stuff, even the hotel bellman, all that kind of stuff. It was such a relief, like just because it's like, I always think of Dumb and Dumber when they're rolling up in their car and they're throwing bills. There you go.
250,000.
But yeah, that was a relief. But then we all kind of met up again, though, didn't we? When we got to
We went to the BNF bar.
Oh, Kith. Did you get to Kith? You didn't go to Kith?
No, I missed like kind of the designer stores y'all went to.
Oh, we went to Kith, and it was like the next level of like just how they did stuff was amazing.
That's cool.
You'll see those pictures and stuff. But we also stopped at the toy store, and I got the boys some. Have you ever heard of Hot Toys?
I don't think so.
This is their headquarters.
We ran into Robbie in there.
I was at.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see you
Hot
at the toy
Toys
store.
is a toy store for those of you listening that they make the most realistic
Oh yeah,
dolls possible.
right. They do look crazy.
Like when it, like Star Wars figures kind of look like, it kind of looks like Han Solo. These look.
I was shocked. It looked exactly like Scarlett Johansson or Jeremy Renner from.
Right. And you can check them out on Instagram. I've been actually following them for years.
Okay.
Because they do really good job of.
So they're
like,
super popular.
Yeah, they'll take and they're like the big dolls are like thousands of dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
And they were all sold out too.
I know because they're so well done. But the thing is, like their Instagram account, they'll put them on sets and take pictures of them, and you would think that it's actually like a shot from the movie.
That's pretty cool.
And so I think that people who collect them are really into the detail.
interesting.
Like there's pores on the noses and stuff like that.
Whoa. Yeah, that was cool.
I got the boys a couple things there.
And I think all our legs were shot that day too. We walked probably an extra 10 miles that day.
I
We
think
did
you
so
said
much
you
walking.
had 20,000 steps or something.
By the end of the day, because then at night it's probably close to like 24,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was walking bow-legged or whatever it is that when you can't bend your legs. I look like Pinocchio out there. Wait, Pinocchio can bend his legs though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Well,
got
Marionette strings.
he's got a joint.
Oh, maybe the Tin Man when he
Tin Man.
There you go.
There
Tin
you go.
Man.
Yeah. The and then again another one where it's kind of like a weird mall. Their malls are different than here. It's like it could just be a specialty mall.
Right.
And they're like floors on top of floors on top of floors. But we went to the Pokemon, Mario Brothers, Capcom, and then Man Boy Love.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff. The Pokemon store was absolute madness. I mean, I had to get my boys some stuff, but that was just like craziness.
I thought Theo and them were over that, and I told them that I went there, and they were kind of disappointed I didn't get them
Really?
anything from there. I was like, I thought you were too old for it,
Yeah.
but apparently not.
No, my kids were so stoked when I gave them the stuff last night. They were losing their minds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That must have
Guess
felt
what their
great.
favorite toy was?
Did you get the bobbing head guy?
No, it did. No, I got the cat. Give me like that.
Okay.
No, their favorite toy was the Pokemon balls that I got out of the machines that cost like $2.
The rings?
Yeah,
That we got last minute.
Yeah,
At
they were losing their minds like about those. I was like, well, I should have bought more of those.
This one right here.
It was $2 a piece.
Just done that machine. We didn't even talk about the pachinko. Wait, when did we do the pachinko?
That was the
during
last
that
day.
So
Okay.
So then that evening, we went to bar, hung out, whatever, had dinner.
Oh, that we went to my favorite bar, I think, in the world.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was called B&F.
Very cool.
Bar B&F.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it was awesome.
Talk about surreal. It was like a Harry Potter bar in the middle of Japan.
Yeah.
And it played it wasn't 8-bit music, but
It was like Fife and Whistle.
It was the Zelda soundtrack over and
Yeah,
over again.
It just sounded like that. Yeah.
If you could imagine that you're in like one of those video games where you get to a bar that's like, hey, stranger, new in town?
Totally.
Where are you going?
When we talked, actually, like speech bubbles appeared above our heads and typed out the
Tick,
letters.
tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
It felt like that.
Yeah. It was very cool. And the drinks were excellent.
The
Those were the
drinks
best
were
drinks.
amazing.
Yeah. And then we just had you guys had that dinner
Yeah.
at the sushi smoking place.
Yeah, where was a bunch of people.
Yeah, why
smoking
didn't you have dinner
hookah.
with us?
Because I
he
had
had
sushi
sushi
earlier.
earlier.
Oh,
And I was like,
they had everything on that menu. You could have gotten
Oh.
whatever.
so I just had dinner with the other group. But
Where did they go? Oh, they went back to the hotel.
Yeah, and then me and Kafuzi went to karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
Right, which was like,
5-year-old woman, Peter gets starches to start the show. Use Spotify when you're sitting in your row. She's dressed in yellow. She says hello. Come sit next to me, you fine fellow. You went over there without a second to lose. And what comes next? Hey, bust a move. Woo, 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 woo. You got it. You want it. Just bust a move.
oh, I didn't tell you. So we went to karaoke, and when we got to the place, it's like this second floor bar, and we walk in, and the owner's just like there by himself.
Did you go to the one with the cat?
No, this is just, I don't even know where this was.
Okay.
And he looked shocked that somebody came in the door.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a Monday night. Yeah.
And so we're just like, oh, I guess we're doing this. So I guess you pay like $7, like 1,100 or 1,000 yen or something, and you get just karaoke all night, and you get an iPad in front of you where you can just pick your songs, and you each have a microphone. And I think you can also play Nintendo DS on the TV.
Okay.
That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah. So we're just doing our own songs, whatever. And then a group of 4 Japanese, it's like 3 guys and a girl come in, and they look like came from work or whatever. And they're doing Japanese songs, which is funny because I looked up like the top Japanese karaoke songs that are English, and they did like half of them. Like Aladdin, A Whole New World is one of them. They did that. And then we kind of start talking to him a little bit. And somehow the guy told me that his favorite American artist is Eric Clapton. And then like a minute later, he's like, come on. And so he puts on Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven, and we duetted it together.
Oh, wow.
Like he sang one verse, I sang the other. We were hugging at one point.
I believe it.
It was a great time.
Oh, that's amazing.
So good.
And so we did that, and then they were getting hammered. I mean, I've never, like, they were drinking fast and furious, and like Tokyo Drift
like
style.
Brandon eats.
Yeah. And it was yeah, anyways, so they were getting hammered, and we were just doing a karaoke. So then we were there for a few hours, and then finally we were like, all right, we got to go. And as we're leaving, they're all like giving us hugs or high fives, and just thanking us. And arigato gozaimasu. And,
Domo arigato gozaimasu.
and then so we're getting in the elevator, and they're kind of like following us and just like constantly like thanking us and saying bye, and we know like 2 words. So how many times can we say thank you? and then the elevator's just taking forever to close, and they're like kind of like almost like peering their heads in like as we're like the whole group and bartender, and we're just like, yeah, like we said bye like 10 times already. It was amazing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It was a good night. Last day we got up and then did a little more walking around.
A lot more walking around.
Like it was actually a lot more.
The last day we went and saw, well, on our way to the National Garden, we stopped. We finally saw, Robbie really wanted to get a pachinko game in. I didn't understand your obsession with it, but you really wanted it.
I mean, I think it was like, I just had seen photos of one before. It just seemed like a casino on crack, which I'm into. And I'm always into figuring out new ways to gamble and lose money. So that seemed like a good way to do that.
Robbie walks right past it. Like there's this building. It had a giant manga, poster on it. There's all this stuff, amazing looking. And I just look in and I'm like, pachinko machines, lots of them. And Robbie's already gone. I'm like, I called Robbie back. I'm like, hey, I got your pachinko machines. Robbie, your face lit up.
Oh yeah, did it?
When the door opened, there was that childlike awe of, they're here. This is it. I'm finally getting. Like every night you asked to go to pachinko.
Yeah,
and didn't you try the karaoke night?
Apparently they close like early, which seems weird to me. But yeah, I mean, and you give me a carnival game, and that's closer to a carnival game than normal slot machines, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's an actual like
jackpot
movement to it.
Yeah, there's the metal ball bearings are like tangible.
Yeah,
literally. And so I thought that was cool. And it was a pretty weird game to figure out. I think we kind of figured out.
I didn't figure it out.
I'm not going to explain it on the podcast.
I brought the instructions home. They're still.
Yeah.
But the first step was my favorite, which was make sure if there's cigarettes still there that the person is done with that machine.
Oh, really?
That's step
funny.
1.
Yes. But yeah. Oh,
We played Godzilla.
speaking of carnival, that reminded me when I was seeing those kids lined up for the strawberry sticks and the potatoes. I was like, man, you bring these kids to a fireman's carnival in the United States, they would lose their minds.
Yeah.
like a county fair.
Yeah. Like that's like all that times 10.
You're right, actually.
Right.
That's what we should do. Is start doing carnivals in Japan.
But anyways, so yeah, we did the pachinko parlor, and then
I'm sitting out on the sidewalk. The guys are in, what was the store you were in?
Don Quixote.
Yeah.
So we had walked a couple blocks. We left.
Yeah.
We lost our money at the pachinko parlor, of course.
I was fine with it though. I was like, I don't know how to play this game. Here's my money.
Yeah.
Let me just participate.
Right.
So we're a few blocks down the road. The guys are in the store. I'm just waiting for them outside in the sidewalk. And Robbie walks up to me and he's patting down his pants. And he's like, my wallet was in my pocket. And this is the morning before we're leaving
Like 2
back
hours.
home.
No, we are leaving that
Yeah.
day.
Like 2 hours before we leave
Yeah.
for the airport.
And I'm like, well, when's the last time you had it? And he's like, it must have been in the last couple of blocks. It must have just fallen out. So he goes back to the pachinko place.
I'm like scanning the ground, like thinking that, in the middle of Tokyo, my wallet's going to be on the ground. Like, I don't even know what's happening.
So you walk back in there and just ask someone?
Yeah, so the guy that was helping us figure out the machines,
Yeah.
I just typed in, like, did you find a wallet into my Google Translate and showed it to him. And he's like, oh, and like makes the shape of a wallet, like with his hands. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, just like 1 second, like follow me. And I wasn't sure that he was like, oh, are you just looking for a wallet? I'll see
Like
if
we have
someone found
a
it.
wallet department.
Like if they have, he's like, I'll take you to Lost and Found, see if they have something, or if he actually found it. So I was like hopeful yet nervous. And yeah, so he took me over to another weird thing. There was just a box with like a door on it, and then I don't know if he like called in or like tapped on the door, and then he opened it, and then there was like nothing in there, and then I think it dropped from somewhere, or like it was like a really weird situation where I'm like, I just couldn't understand what I was looking at. And then he turns around and boom, has my wallet in his hand. I'm like, I cannot believe this just happened. And I would have given him all the money I had, but I had no money, so because I lost it in pachinko.
Meanwhile, again, awkward moment with Brandon. We're walking around Don Quixote, and there's an entire floor that is dedicated to sex toys.
Yeah.
Like walking by.
You and Brandon really bonded this
So how
trip.
much money did you spend there?
Exactly. Yeah. Don Quixote was a little bit of a. It wasn't what I expected. It was like a giant dollar store, but with anything that you could think of. Like they were selling North Face jackets in there, which I'm sure they weren't.
Yeah.
North Face.
Would you say it's a windmill posing as a, what's the Don Quixote?
As a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I would just say it was it was like your beach dollar store.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
totally. It
Yeah.
seemed like right place in Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah.
So across the street from it, though, like I'm like looking at this sign, waiting while Robbie's doing his vending machine stuff. I'm looking at this sign. I'm like, that's weird. What does this mean? And it had like instructions. Because what did you say it was called?
It's like dating something.
The lounge, something lounge.
Yeah.
Like meet the girl lounge or something.
Yeah.
And it has instructions. Like first you sit down, you look at a menu of young ladies, you pick the one that you would like, and then you walk around town with her.
Yeah, I don't know if they were walking around town or to a back room in the photo. I wasn't quite sure about that. But I think what gave it away was that all the girls' eyes were covered up or blurred out in the photos. So I was like, yeah, this probably isn't straight. So I was like, but it was weird because there's a huge billboard on the side of like the main shopping area.
I asked someone, I think that maybe prostitution is legal there.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, that would make sense.
I don't know that that's what this was offering because it sounded just like companionship. But,
Yeah, of some sort.
And
for 1 hour.
Also, same alley had a giant Godzilla peering into the alley.
Yeah,
so
my
that was
kids
pretty cool.
love that. I showed them a picture.
That's cool.
But it is interesting because there's stuff like that and that man boy type thing that we were talking about, like that. I wonder if because the culture is so like rigid and structured that like
There's a
things
weird
come out in weird ways, you know, like. I feel like it's kind of like the South. The South's like that too, because on the surface it's very conservative, but behind the scenes it's like crazy shit. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. So like when we were walking around the Pokemon store and the Mario store, the Capcom store was there, which I still haven't seen my picture of me pulling the sword out with the dragon coming down. And then
is that an SFW? I'm just kidding.
yeah, and then I go into this next booth and it's all like guys cuddling with cats.
Like
And-
comics?
Yeah, like anime.
Okay. Yeah.
But anime stuff like, you know, guy wearing the cop hat but no shirt and like bikini brief hugging another guy who's wearing like a cat tail.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And I was just like, this like if your kid was walking around, this is like right in there. So maybe I'm just uptight, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm just like, okay, weird.
Different cultures, man.
Yeah. But
Anyways, so that, and then we went to a Japanese garden to end our trip.
the Japanese garden was beautiful, even though it wasn't in bloom. You could tell, like, you could kind of picture what it would look like
Yeah.
when everything. But I like the culture that you know, people were like, they seem like very like in tune with nature and at the same time in tune with technology and kind of like mixed together. So I loved it.
Yeah, the trip was awesome.
Flight back seemed a lot easier, didn't it?
Oh yeah, much easier.
It was still very long.
It was 12 hours or something.
And again, yeah, the food was wild, but
But yeah, all right. So this has gone on for a while. If you're
Yeah.
still listening, first off, my mind's blown. But secondly, are there any closing thoughts you'd like to share?
I know that you talked about doing kind of like a wrap-up post for Tokyo on the website, so that's great. I know Megan was also talking about doing like tips. I think we could do New York, London, and Boston. So at least for actually Chicago too, we could probably do posts for tips on 4 of the majors.
Yeah, we'll try to do that.
Or
But any more
five of the
thoughts
majors.
on like just the general overall feelings about the trip?
I can't get over it. It was amazing. I would
Yeah.
totally do it again in a
if
heartbeat.
you have the opportunity to go to Tokyo, do it.
The course
It's
was
cool.
awesome. The
Yep.
people were great. Asics put on a hell of a nice, I don't even know what you call it for us, experience for us in
Yeah.
general. Just every touch point was amazing.
Yeah.
So many things. Like this is a trip I'll remember for the rest of my life
Yeah.
until I get dementia.
Oh, jeez.
Which might be happening now. I'm
Any
just
day
kidding.
now.
It was really incredible and unforgettable. And I just
Did we say what shoes we ran the marathon in?
we didn't.
No, people are gonna wonder. Meg and I ran Super Blast.
Yeah, I ran the Metaspeed Edge Plus. Still love that shoe.
Yeah,
do you
Super
kind of
Blast
wish
was
though
great.
that you had maybe worn the Super Blast?
No,
Okay.
yeah, I loved. I mean, my legs. I don't know. My legs
I
were
was-
probably gonna be trashed either way, but my legs actually during the race they didn't
Felt
hurt. No cramps, nothing.
good.
Felt good running in them the whole time. So I loved them.
All right. So that was the shoes of choice. Obviously, we appreciate everybody tuning in, listening. None of this stuff happens without you.
And thanks to everyone that showed up to the
Yeah.
run who listens to podcasts. I know there's a lot of people that said they listen to podcasts and that were there. So that was just cool meeting people from all over the world.
Yeah. And someone painted Kafuzi's portrait.
Oh yeah, that was
If
cool.
you want to paint our portrait, we're more
Yeah.
than happy to.
Well, by the way, forgot that I said that I would leave a review of people's reviews. I have quite
yeah.
a lot of reviews to write.
Oh,
We got like 10 new reviews from that.
all right,
Awesome.
Robbie. Get
I
started.
know that Drew Wickham was saying he was gonna do one, so
Okay.
that you'd have to write a shoe review for
If
him.
I see his, I'll ignore it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, a big thanks to Asics, to Mac, to Brian, to everybody who took care of us over in Japan. Obviously, we had a great time, and big thanks to the audience. I gotta say thanks to you guys. Like, you guys made my trip. Like, I really enjoyed spending time with our crew and our team, and Kafuzi and Ashley. Everybody. It was just really nice to to spend time and to have these moments with everyone.
Yep, for sure.
And Brandon, especially for running with me and crying with me at the end, although he didn't cry, I don't think.
And producing this podcast.
Yeah,
Because it's going to take him a while.
Monster.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, Ma.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hi.